There's a dynamite. Okay, it says that we are broadcasting kilobits per second. Oh my God.
Did it work?
It's going to work. Hold on. It says live, but I see a black screen. Hold on here. Is it? Oh, there we are. I see us. Let me see. Do I hear us?
I don't know. I'm just spacing out.
Hold on here. Is it? Oh, there we are. Oh, I hear an echo.
I hear something from you.
I hear that stupid echo. Let me find it here. I got a new.
Yeah, we're live. I mean, I see, but I'm facing the wrong way again.
That's what she said.
All right, is that
echo gone now, guys? Echo.
You're an echo.
No, you're an echo.
Some echo. Double Barnacules.
All right, let me see if the echo's gone now.
Hello.
Echo.
Slice. You're an echo. What up?
No, you're an echo.
Some echo. Double Barnacules. That's
it's weird. You sound
slightly
slightly robotic.
That's not me. I'm not a robot.
You're not a robot? Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Are you positive? I
mean,
I figure I should double check to be thorough.
I mean, would I know? Would I know? Dark Dragon says still eco.
There's still eco. Let me check. Check.
Would I know? Would I know? Roast. Dark Dragon says probably still roast. Eco. Be a short. Oh, what's up, man?
Yeah,
so this dude actually,
weird, dude.
That guy.
Like, what am I doing wrong here?
Hold on. Okay, maybe there's a slight chance that it's me, but it's not.
No, but I can hear you fine. It's the stream that doesn't hear you right. So let me see. There's got to be overlapping audio here somewhere. Let me find it.
I gotta pop out the fucking chat. Pardon my French.
Check.
Aux robot confirmed. Aux slight echo. So close. So sounds like robot. Sounds like he's in a can.
Is that better?
Top Golf. Yeah. So this guy freaking recognized me at the Top Golf. That was pretty cool.
Oh, he got recognized?
Yeah, man. He said, he's like, hey, I know you from TechTalk. And I was like, what? That's
awesome, dude. I love when that happens.
Okay,
let me do another audio check.
Fixed. Dark Dragon says gone better now.
We're good.
TechTalk.
Check.
You should mirror your camera, Aux, so you face bar. No, it's Jerry has got me flipped.
How do I flip you back?
I don't know.
I don't want to do that. I like creeping up behind you like that, though. Hold on. More scene options. Is there a flip person around option in video?
Okay. If you have me as just like my own like thing,
yeah,
you can just, it's under transform. You can just boop, flip it.
Ah, crap, and I don't have that.
So my source, right?
Yeah.
Do I have my own like
no,
video
you
source?
You're mixed in with the Video Ninja source.
Oh, so we're next to each other on your screen?
Yeah.
In the source? Oh, that's weird.
And
why isn't it just like what I see in the Video Ninja then?
The weird thing is you're showing up on my side in Video Ninja in the same orientation you are on stream. So both in video dashboard and here. So if it's showing you different on your side, it's not what it's actually broadcasting on video.
That's crazy.
I wonder if your camera has like local mirror mode or something.
Yeah, my video has us looking at each other.
Really?
100%. Yeah. Activate or reload.
Okay,
yeah, and I don't have any option on the video side.
I don't know. Can I flip me around?
Oh, maybe? Here I can. How's that?
Well,
I guess I can mirror myself. Give me a second.
Give it a second for it to update.
Like 10 seconds. Delays terrible.
What are you just applying settings and it's taking that long?
No, I just in video I could right click on my video and I mirrored it.
Yeah, you're still coming in the same orientation you were before.
So yeah, it's got to be in OBS.
It's so weird. Okay, hold on here. Add a scene, highlight guest.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not.
Wait, what does highlight guest do? Oh, I can like zoom you in. Oh, that's cool. So like if you're talking or something, I just push this little button. It's like full screen auxiliary.
What up?
For your own pleasure.
Oh, that's a good one. Like if we're showing something.
Yeah. Be like,
hey,
maybe do a little sound effect. Be like,
whoop, whoop.
Yeah. All right, I'll have to keep that one mapped to something. Scene stats, rainbow puke fix. Luckily, we haven't had to use the rainbow puke fix in a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
That sucked
that's
back
nice.
when we had to use that. Okay, so I got video settings. I can turn up your resolution, and that's about it.
Oh, what?
Stupid. Why can't I?
That is very strange.
That seems weird. That's not an option in video. It's got like every other option under the sun, but it doesn't have just like, hey, make the person point the other way.
I mean, I right click, like I said, I right click on my video or yours even, and I have an option to mirror, and like it flipped you around.
Oh, here, let me see if I can do that locally with yours.
Yeah.
Okay, I did it locally with yours, and it flipped you around, but it didn't change it inside of OBS for some reason. So it changed your orientation in Video Ninja, like on the screen, but it didn't change it in the composited scene in OBS for some reason.
Weird.
I wonder if I can refresh it. Hold on, let me try refreshing it. Guys, as you know, the first 10 minutes of this show is always tech support.
Because it's like is it a web view? Like you have a browser source in OBS?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's probably it. That might be
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is literally a web view. Like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so where is, okay, OBS Ninja, click on that, say refresh page, and it's refreshing, and nope, you're still pointing the wrong way.
That's weird.
That is so weird, because you're right. I can right click and just say mirror, and it does it. It just doesn't.
I don't know why it would.
Inside.
Oh no, you're big now, and I'm back. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I can't. Wait, I can't. Can I mirror myself? Hide picture in picture toggle. No.
Well, then we'd be back to back.
Yeah, I can. Hey, don't knock until you try it. Let's see here. Mirror, hide control bar, picture in picture, full window, pause stream, or record to disk. Okay, we'll mirror you back.
Like the 15 minutes prior to us going live is Jerry and I trying to figure out what goofy shit we can to break. So that you guys have something like this to watch.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a tradition at this point that we have like at least 15 minutes of pure tech support.
So Jakander says, I didn't say that right. Jakan.
I just call him Jack.
Work on it. Yeah, Jack. This is when I do this. I capture Discord, I do the call in Discord, and use OBS to crop everything. So I think that's what actually is happening, right? You're capturing a cropped down look of the Chrome tab, right?
No. Okay. No. It's
not a mirror or a window source?
So what Video Ninja does is it gives you something called a group scene. Okay. And the group scene is basically just a web page you go to that just shows all the people that are in the video, just the videos and the audios. That's it. And there's no other HTML or anything like that. And then what it does, you embed that as an HTML element in OBS. And then you put the overlays on top of it. So like the little overlays or somebody super tips or something that pops up on the screen, that's over the top of it. But where you're seeing us beside each other, that's all just that's all from this group scene thing.
Okay.
And so
you could add another group scene, crop me halfway, right? Crop it in half. So it's two of them and then flip it.
Oh no, I 100% should be able to just like flip you.
I mean,
if I did it that way, but then I'd have to like remove the scene and start with my copy local and your copy remote, and that would require me to close down Video Ninja, create a new one so it doesn't grab the webcam, because for some reason Microsoft cannot figure out how to share a webcam.
Duplicate the browser source that you're using now.
Yep.
Inside of OBS.
Yep.
Crop it so it's just my half, and then inside of OBS use transform to flip the source.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do that then. That actually sounds like.
And in fact, you wouldn't even have to crop the original.
I like it. I like it.
Source, because you can use that to align my half.
All right. I just did a paste of the reference, so I get what you're throwing down. I'm getting it. I'm getting what you're throwing down there, dog.
Reference versus duplicate might throw a hinkiness, but let's not fuss right now.
All right. So now I can transform and do a flip horizontally. Okay, did that do anything? Let's see. Okay, why didn't that work? That should have worked. Oh, you know what? Oh, shit, I grabbed the wrong one. My bad. Hold on here.
Oh, that's funny.
I grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah.
Because I renamed everything wrong. Okay, here we go. So OBS Ninja, I'm going to copy that. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to paste a reference.
Firefox.
So now I've pasted a reference to OBS Ninja up at the very tippity top, so it's sitting on top of everything, although I don't want it under the stream. Here, let me put it under stream elements. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to crop it down to just you and your pretty face there. So if I move it around, I have to mute
for a minute. My lady's about to come back and my dog's going to explode. So
okay, all right.
Be muted.
All right, it's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to flip you. Now I'm going to right click on that. And I'm going to say transform, and I'm going to say flip around horizontally. It's like he knows what he's talking about sometimes, guys. It absolutely blows my mind, because I mean, he looks dumber than shit. I mean, just don't say anything if you're dumb. See, he didn't say anything. See, so he agrees with me entirely.
That's mean.
Hey, no, dumb. I meant like, you know, when people say fat, but it means you're not fat. It means you're cool.
Yeah.
I was saying like dumb or stupid, or how bad is that going to get when our language like gets so bad that
surely moving the camera to where it normally is would be easier. This is where it normally is. That's not entirely true. I'm like 6 inches off from where it normally is, because I'm deliberately trying not to catch the door of my office. And yeah, and sometimes it does.
So take that. We just like to look
and
each other
and
in
even
the
then,
eyes too.
Moving the camera is not as easy as you think.
See, look me in the eyes. See now we can look each other in the eyes. Be like, how's it going? How's it going over there? No, you got to look off the side of the camera, so it looks like we're looking at each other. And hi, how you doing over there? What's up? Yeah, yeah, you like that? Oh yeah. You know what we should do is we should put a marker. We should get like a piece of paper like they do in the movies and draw each other's faces on them and put them where they are spatially, so that when you look at the face from the camera's angle, it looks like we're looking at each other.
Well, now hold on. Now that we have this, you're still in OBS, right?
Yeah.
You can save this entire like setup as its own like preset. There's a special word. They use a particular word for it.
Save it as like a scene or a scene collection?
Oh, because I have two things.
I'll export it as a scene selection.
I have one for build streams and one for gaming, right?
AuxxZillary, the right way around.
It's under, it is a scene collection. My bad. I wasn't sure of the proper term.
I literally just saved the scene collection. It turned you black and white for some reason. Why are you black and white now?
It's noir. It's noir.
All I did.
I dig it.
Wait,
hold on. Is it me? Maybe. Wow.
It must have did something on your side.
Because it's in Video Ninja too. It's like greened out.
Let me look in video. Hold on.
Hold on. This happens sometimes when it. Oh, it's me. It's me.
Okay.
No, it's me. OBS. I opened OBS to get the right term, and it's trying to steal the cam link. It's me. Give me just a minute. OBS is updating. Sorry.
That dirty, filthy whore.
Yeah.
It does that sometimes.
And then I have to refresh my video stream in here. So give me a second.
Sorry, guys. This is just all part of the show. It's all part of the show.
This is what you pay for. This is really what y'all are here for. Is this goofy stuff?
It is true. I heard that
everybody on the internet likes drama. No, man, this is just the fun of it.
This is just the drama, man. That's what you signed up for.
Wait, how would I do that? I would have to. I have a plug-in called Vinyl that makes your microphone input sound like you're running on like a record, and you can set things like how much dust or how many like
the scratches,
weird mistakes and stuff are in the vinyl, whether it's like from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Dude, that's awesome.
All kind, it's really neat. I like that one.
We should do that. Just do a stream and be like a throwback to modem days. Like the 56K, broadcast at like 5.6 kilobits per second.
Put like scan lines, the CRT scan lines. I was playing this this game too that has an option for that in the video settings. So you can hit like CRT mode, and it breaks it out into like these tiny little like how the pixels were on old CRT cameras or televisions.
Dude, all the emulators have them too. Have you played around with any of the retro emulators?
I've not me, but I follow Epos Vox, and he's him and Logan Ward, right?
Yep.
He still posts some retro gaming stuff too, and he talks about how like it looks different. Just the games look different whether you emulate them or you can like
like you can do the scan lines,
different filters and stuff. Yeah,
you can do you can do interlacing, you can do scan lines so that it'll give you that kind of tearing effect, like on the old CRT screens, the persistence of vision stuff.
Yeah.
You can also enable a thing that will like up-res it to like 4K and use AI super sampling to like smooth out all the edges so your 8-bit games look like they're like cell shaded, games on like a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look good with everything. That's the problem. Is there's so many liberties taken with pixel art to try to trick your brain into thinking you're seeing something, and AI doesn't know what to do with it.
I saw a really cool side by side of it was like the original sprites, I guess, like the original images, I guess, that make up certain sprites and stuff, and then what it looked like on a CRT screen. And then like updated sprites so that they look good on LCD screens. And you're absolutely right. They would purposefully like fuzz out the edges of the sprites so that it actually would end up getting a cleaner outline on the CRTs.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of stuff is like, oh man, that's super neat.
They even had a cool trick, and I don't know if they did this on Nintendo, but I know they did it on Commodore. And on the Commodore 64, you could simulate like having 256 colors on screen by like mixing the colors using persistence of vision. So what you'd basically do is say,
I want to scan as green.
I want to scan as green, and then I want to scan this other one as red, and you could swap between them really fast so that your brain would mix them together.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that is smart.
There's some really cool demos out there of them like showing, I wouldn't say high resolution, but high fidelity photos on like a Commodore that you remember having like CGI graphics, right? Like have maybe like 4 on-screen colors or maybe 16 on-screen colors. I don't remember how many on-screen colors supported, but it wasn't like VGA. And you could actually get it to display an image that was like indistinguishable from VGA because it would manipulate the way your eyes worked.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's a trip, man. It's a trip. Some of the shit that they came up with, the workaround limitations in older hardware. And now they don't have to do that. That's the thing, is like it's gone completely the other direction in just like, you know, a generation.
So yeah, it's so fun to see like these retro styled games, and I'm like, man, there's a open, I guess it's open source, maybe it's not, I don't know. There's a project that you can download on GitHub called Pokemon Wilds, and it's like a procedurally generated Pokemon world, and you can build and craft stuff and all this. It's fun. But it's like, here I am with like, I don't know, $2,000 worth of computer hardware, stuff that would blow the minds of like scientists 50 years ago, and I'm using it to play like this JavaScript hack mod of Pokemon.
No, you're
I can play 300 million copies of this game all at the same time and not even like break a sweat. Like,
it'd be like the equivalent of like when the Cray supercomputer comes out, you basically just go in the lab and start playing Pac-Man on it.
Yeah,
like it's so funny how like we take it for granted now because it's just so easy to access all this stuff.
I know, right?
Even the computing, man.
Man. Oh, just somebody mentioned, I saw what a 4090 looks like. They're huge. Yeah. There's a picture floating around of them of a 4090 propped up next to an Xbox S, I think, Xbox One S, and a PlayStation 5, and it's like, I don't know, an inch shorter than the PlayStation 5.
Dude, it's fucking ridiculous. The power consumption on these things. It's like when your graphics
what is it? 400? No, they're saying
400 nominal,
400
600
watts
and something peak.
And they're recommending it for a 4090. A minimum power supply is 850.
Yeah. And by the way, I think the minimum got like amended by all the OEMs that are building the same card, factory clocked. The same card, they're saying 1,000 watt. So Nvidia like was being really close to flying close to the sun, recommending an 800 watt, because I didn't think they probably thought that they wouldn't be able to sell a ton of them if everybody had to update their power supply too, because power supplies are expensive. Like a big 1,000 watt power supply, I mean, a couple $100 easy, right? Especially if you want to get something that's like gold or platinum or whatever, then you're gonna pay like double.
You should always get at least a gold.
Yeah, honestly, and just to be clear, I'm not 100% on this. You would be extinguisher on right. Don't get anything with Gigabyte on the side of it. By the way, I still have my Gigabyte burned down power supply sitting behind me.
I thought that was EVGA.
Was it EVGA? Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, it was a run of EVGA power supplies that were explosive.
Let me double check.
Thanks. Oh, by the way, thanks everybody who became a sponsor and a member and all that jazz. Thank you very much. And early on, even before the stream, who is it? Our trucker buddy Eric G. He threw down $5. He's like, "Where is everybody? I'm here early."
Here you go,
and it was Gigabyte. It was Gigabyte. My bad.
Sorry. There she is. This, if everybody always asks me what the fire extinguisher is for, it's because this.
I don't even know why you guys listen to me. I don't know anything anymore. I used to be, man. I gotta tell you, teenage me would be disappointed at the gross lack of hardware knowledge that I have now. Like, man, I used to be like a walking encyclopedia of like the best of the best for computer stuff. And man,
like not even like tooting my own horn. I was that guy at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like I was the guy anybody could go to. I was the one developer at the company that like knew everything there was about every hardware that was out and every hardware that was coming.
Yeah.
You know, and I worked directly with the OEMs, so I even knew about the stuff like the public didn't even know about. Like I had all the stats and read up on the was the Orange Book for Itanium.
Nice.
Before it was even like known to the public that it was coming down the pipeline. I got to work with some CPUs that never even shipped, like prototype CPUs from both AMD and Intel.
Right. That's cool.
I got to work with the cool computers where they'd come in and actually use bodge wires. That was a trip. like so if you don't know what a bodge wire is, it's basically like if you have a circuit that's created poorly or isn't created properly from the factory, they can basically sand off the trace on the motherboard and solder a wire onto it and take that wire across the motherboard somewhere else and bridge it.
Oh yeah. They did some hacker dudes did that with the Xbox as a, I don't know if it ever led to anything, but it was like a proof of concept of where you could intercept secure traffic in well, it was unsecure while it was traveling, right? Because it had to send it from like one chipset to another or something, and it was unencrypted during like this span right here. And they did that. They and then they put like the little ribbon cable so that it was touching the circuits just right, and they were able to intercept and like get it. It was more, I don't know that you could do anything really with it, but it was like, this is a vulnerability. Like you could, if you wanted to, somehow like steal information from the Xbox this way, or get around some sort of security thing.
Yeah, I think it's called a JTAG.
Oh,
so a joint test action group. It's basically like a circuit that you can basically put in line with a processor FPGA and basically like pull data and send data on the bus. Like you can intercept and send data. So
product keys for like verification. Untidy Techie said that's how they extracted product keys.
Well, that's how I got the key off of so this was purely experimental, and I did this in controlled situation. I signed all the documentation to make it legal, so I can say this. I hacked my original Xbox 360 that I had. Yeah. And the way that I had to hack it was I had to pull in a controlled environment, never was used, but it was thrown in the garbage right after this experiment. Anyways, I remember I had to open it up and I had to put probes on the motherboard. I had to actually take probes from this little piece of hardware I got and stick them on little points on the motherboard and hold it there while it downloaded the firmware from the CD-ROM drive or the DVD drive. And then it would download the firmware from the DVD drive, and then I could go in and modify it with a hex editor and change like 1 bit. It was just 1 bit I changed to say all media read is genuine media. And then I took and flashed it back to the drive doing the same thing. I had to hold these little probes on there for like 45 seconds, like perfectly, these tiny little probes, while my friend was like pushing buttons on a laptop to download the firmware to it. And then we fired her back up and it worked without we didn't need any mod chip or anything like that. All we did was just modify the firmware on the DVD drive. Now I lucked out because my box didn't get banned, because apparently some people that used a modified firmware that was already available on the internet, they messed up and changed a capital letter to a lowercase letter in the firmware. And when they figured that out, then they could do checks. They basically did an update that they pushed over Xbox Live to all the Xboxes that said, hey, if you have this lowercase digit, then we know you're hacked. We know you're hacked. But if you had the other hack where it was the digit change that said genuine media, they couldn't figure that one out because that was a dynamic variable that could change. So because I modified mine using a guide where it told me like what offset to go to and which bit to change with the hex editor, I didn't have that same bug that they did. So I didn't get wrapped up in the batch of all when they did that huge ban where it's like it took out like 10% of like all the Xboxes in the world. That was because of that one screw up where a person just had a capital letter in place of a lowercase number and a string that's never even challenged. It's just printed to the screen. So I was like, oh man. So it just goes to show it takes very, very, very little to screw something up that gives a foothold for somebody else to basically fight you back. It's that whole fire with fire thing with hacking, right? It's like you figure out a shortcoming, you go after it, they figure out a shortcoming and your shortcoming, and then they come after it, and then you leverage their shortcoming, get your shortcoming to create the new shortcoming, and you just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you basically have like an infinitely secure system in the end.
Right?
Which is never going to happen because everything's changing constantly. Hey, Gimpy's in the house. Hey, did you guys see that? Did you see what happened to old Gimpster?
Something else, man. What else could possibly happen to the poor guy?
His house burned down.
No.
Oh
my bro.
No. I was just bringing you down so I could build you back up. Emotional
roller coaster.
Moist Critical. Do you know Moist Critical, the streamer?
I do not.
So Moist Critical, pretty big streamer
on the Twitters.
He's one of those guys that does like response videos or reply videos, but he does them in a good way.
Okay.
Like he gives live commentary on other people's videos and stuff like that. He's one of those guys, but he does it in like a way that he actually does add some value, and he does add a lot of comedy to it.
Okay.
Well, anyways, really big dude. I don't know how many millions of followers he has, but it's a lot. And he decided to do a charity stream for old Gimpsters 2 days ago.
What?
Yeah. So cool, old Gimpy G's GoFundMe, I think, is up to like $30,000 now.
Holy moly!
Which I think when Chris and I did the charity stream for him, I think it was last year. I think we only raised like 8,000 or 10,000 or something like that. I see
him on the YouTube as Penguin Zero. Yeah, people are saying.
Yep. So he's already like blown him up, and so I haven't looked at it today. I bet you it's even gone up more. But
that's cool, man.
But yeah, and I guess they own a computer company that unironically bought out Artesian. So when Artesian went out of business, they bought it. They're called like Star Cock and Balls PC or something. What is it?
Where is this? I want to see that.
So yeah, so
that's freaking cool, man. I got to tell you, I was very interested in
I know you
throwing
were.
my hat in the ring on their auction thing, but there's no way I could have got if it was broken down into smaller chunks, but.
Thank you, Jack Andrew. He said, yeah, we raised 8,431 for the Gimpster.
Dude,
and I want to say it's over 32,000 now. So Moist Critical and his stream quadrupled or tripled what we got. So
somebody got to tell me about this computer company he's got though. Oh, what is this?
It's called
DC Linus's review on the Hammer Computer Company. I'm interested in this.
Just look up Starforge.
Starforge?
Yeah, and their icon looks like an erect penis. So, and they claim that it's supposed to be a spaceship, and that wasn't intentional, but it's 100% intentional.
Starforge Systems.
100. I don't care. I don't care what Charlie says. That was 100% intentional.
I mean, I get it. I can see it. It's not super blatant cock and balls. It looks more like an upside down hammer.
See, and that's what he's claiming it is, but I don't see it. Maybe I got a dirty mind. Maybe I
got
a dirty mind. Let's see here. Okay, Starforge, PC.
I get it. You're going to be all like, anything with a phallus-like shape to it. I get it.
I mean, but it even has like the little separation between the balls at the bottom. Like,
literally just rotate it 180 degrees, and it's a diamond shape with a hammer in the middle.
Now it's a dick hanging down.
No.
Hold on.
I get it. So you're telling me these guys bought a bunch of
they bought Artesian stock, yeah. And it's not just him. I think Charlie, they co-own the company. It's like Charlie and a bunch of other really big streamers own this. So like Moist Critical and probably like 10 other streamers went in on this company. And they bought the assets from Artesian, and they may even employ some of the people from Artesian, some of the builders. I'm not 100% on that. But it's just kind of ironic because it's like, so Artesian went out of business because they were screwing people out of PCs that they were promising them, like screwing people out of giveaways. Things.
Like they were on the way out even before all that nonsense on Twitter and whatnot.
Dipshit was already burning the company into the ground. But what I found really cool about this is it's like, okay, so Gimpy gets approached by Starforge. I don't even know if it was Starforge back then when they said, but they were basically going to make it right and make him a PC because his PC burned down or whatever. And I think Artesian said they were going to build him a PC, but like they told everybody, they obviously didn't, right? They didn't get, they were just doing it for clout. Well, Starforge is building him a PC, and ironically, it's going to be with the parts that they got from Artesian.
Dude, why not? You might as well.
So I'm like, dude, I think that's awesome. I think that's absolutely awesome. So yeah, so he's gonna get a PC from those guys, and he's gonna get the money that during the charity stream that was collected. The one thing I don't know, I haven't got all the information from Gimpy, but I don't know if they just pointed people to the GoFundMe and said, hey, just go over and give them money, or if they also took like donations and tips and stuff, and they're gonna take all that at the end and pump it in there too. So I don't know what the total tally is, what they raised for him, but just from the GoFundMe stuff alone, it was like another $20,000+. Yeah. So and that helps him out a lot. So if you guys don't know, Gimpy God is a friend of ours who is, as you might understand, he's pretty gimpy. You know, he sits around in a wheelchair, and, you know, people sometimes push him around and lock him in the closet and stuff. Well, his house burned down in the middle of a live stream. Like literally this was like last year,
watch it.
A little bit more than a year ago, I believe. He was like live streaming and his house just burned down. Like literally on the live stream, you can see the smoke. People are leaving. His nephew comes in and like saves him, like actually grabs him and wheels him out of the house while it's on fire. And it burned up his house. It burned up a bunch of the equipment that he needed for accessibility. It destroyed his computer, his TV, his lift system, for getting him in the bathroom and stuff, his bed, everything. Completely wiped out. All he had was his wheelchair. That was it. And not only that, the fire spread from the house to his van, his mobility van that got destroyed also. So he basically had to spend months living in like the corner of a hotel room, and without the proper stuff to clean him, without the proper stuff to like give him any kind of quality of life. And it sucked. It really sucked because he's the nicest guy on earth. Like he was super positive through this whole thing. Like he's one of those guys that like seriously you could just go over and just like take a shit on him and light him on fire and he'd make a joke about it. Like he's got a really, really positive outlook on life. So I was super happy when the community came together and everybody kicked in and like helped this dude out, because now granted he lost I think in excess of $100,000 worth of stuff.
I mean it's like your whole house, just in the mobility stuff.
Just in the mobility stuff, yeah. So he's not going to recover from it 100%, but it's like every little bit helps him get that much more back. Like now I think they got a new van. I mean, it's an older van, it's a used one, but they've got a van now to move him. I don't know if they've got the lift system back yet, but I know that he's got a TV. I think he's back on a computer again. So he has some form of a computer. I don't think it's anything like what he had before though. So it's just cool to see this all happening. Couldn't happen to a nicer, more deserving dude, but it's like, think about that. You're already like basically a quadriplegic, right? You basically can't do anything. and you rely on other people to like take care of you and stuff. And it's like your only outlet to the world is your accessibility devices and your computer and your games and stuff like that. Right. You take that away. It's like, just imagine like how shitty that would be. Like just having literally nothing to do. Like the best you could hope for is maybe like watching like Netflix or something on an iPad in the corner of a room. And then you feel like a burden to everybody else. And you know, I've talked to Gimpy about this. It's like you feel like a burden to people because if they don't have the right stuff to easily take care of you, then it's harder for them to take care of you, right? It's like it's more work for them, which then wears them out and tires them out. And then you have to see that, and that reflects back on you. And you're like, you know, and that makes you feel like crap. And I'm even starting to understand that myself these days because I'm having to rely on people a lot more than I ever have before because of all the shit that's going on with me. Yeah. So it's like, I get it. I definitely get it. So thank you to everybody that gave something to the old Gimpster.
Yeah, man, seriously.
His GoFundMe is still open. It's linked right on his Twitter. If you just go to Gimpy God on Twitter, you'll see his GoFundMe link. I'm sure you can find it through Moist Critical's social media also, or his last live stream. If you go watch, he mentions it. Well, the whole live stream is literally about it. So you can go and watch that archived live stream and get involved in some way, shape, or form, and it'll make you feel good. Helping the Gimpster makes you feel good. And then next time somebody starts calling you like an ableist and screaming at you for parking in the handicap spot, you can say, I gave $20 to Gimpy G.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth.
Tell him.
And then you walk into the store with your able body and your Nissan GTR parked in the handicap space.
That's it. Say, I care.
I care. Hey, I want to thank some of the people who have been showing support today. You guys are the reason we can keep doing this.
It is.
Easy USA.
It's the only reason I come here.
Yeah, I mean, literally. It's the only reason I come, period. Easy USA, thank you for the membership. I appreciate it, brother. Johnny Winter, thank you for the $6.59 super chat. He said, so Barnacules, have you gotten the new Ryzen sins? You have a fire extinguisher on the table. Here's the funny thing is like AMD isn't the fire processor anymore. Like AMD actually is smaller nanometer and more efficient than Intel. So it's like Intel is for poor people now.
So the Ryzen 7K stuff has been peaking like into the 90s, 95C and stuff is a lot of the talk about it. However, that's because and I think Intel is guilty of this as too, or maybe it's a motherboard thing, but I think it applies to I think it applies to both AMD and Intel, but it's a motherboard manufacturing thing. Auto overclocking. There's settings on these things that are, it's like something power boost, overdrive power boost or something like that on one of them, and it's called something else on the other boards.
Even my old motherboard does it. The motherboard you guys put in my old system from 2017, it has a setting in the BIOS that's just it's auto. It says overclock, and you can put it on manual, auto, or off. And if you put it on auto, it'll basically just keep climbing the boost clock until the system becomes unstable, and then it backs it off a little bit. And it doesn't give it more voltage. That's one thing I noticed. It doesn't push more voltage, but it will mess with the timings and the clock speed and stuff like that, and it'll enable and disable hyperthreading and stuff like that until it finds like the optimal setting to where it's stable.
Puget just recently did an article looking at it. I recommend that you go look at it.
It didn't work very well. Like at least the old generation. I'm sure the new generation stuff's a lot better because they have a lot more telemetry from the chip.
Yeah.
But on the older system, I know the problem. I disabled it on mine because
the multi-core enhancement. That's what it is. On the older ones.
This is okay. So
on the older ones.
So the multi-core enhancement thing, when I enabled it, I did notice that it caused a micro stutter sometimes where the system would just lock up for like 5 seconds. I can see that. And it would come back. And I think that was the equivalent of the CPU basically just saying too much and the BIOS having to throttle it back basically. Because you can modify all that stuff in real time. I mean, if you open up like MSI Afterburner and stuff, you can like tweak settings or CPU Z and stuff. You can go in and like fuck with everything and change it in real time, which I think is cool because back in my day, you had to take out the motherboard and pop off them little dip switches and shit and go look for jumpers.
Switchies.
Remember your little bin of jumpers you had to have back in the day? Like everybody has their little bin of screws. Back in the day, we had our bin of jumpers because you'd buy a motherboard and it like would not have enough jumpers. So because all the cards would have jumpers,
it would have the jumpers necessary for whatever default settings they want.
Right, but they wouldn't have enough jumpers for you to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
And the thing was like everything back in the day was controlled with jumpers. Like I remember when I built
little dip switches.
Yep. Oh no, even my 386 had no dip switches. It was 100%. Jumpers, and there's a block on the board. I shit you not, I'm not even exaggerating. It was probably this big on the motherboard. There was just like 5 rows of jumpers, just solid jumpers. And you had to look in the manual, and not only did the jumpers go up and down like this, you also had them like a T. So it's like you're playing Tetris. You had to figure out like, oh, if you want this voltage or this voltage, you have to put one here and you have to put one sideways on the top 2 pins. And you could put them on in like any orientation. You're like, shit, am I going to fry stuff if I put these on the wrong way? And the truth is, yes, you could back then. Like back then, if you it'd say right in the manual, it's like by putting the jumpers on incorrectly, you could damage the CPU.
Oh, for sure.
Damage the motherboard.
Yeah, man.
Voltage regulation. Yeah, I remember voltage regulation back then had like a set of jumpers, and like if you even just got the jumper off by 1, it wasn't a matter of like, oh, I screwed up and made it go up like half a volt. It's like if you had the jumper in the wrong position, you could like 10x the voltage or 20x the voltage to fry the chip instantly. Because they basically have options on the motherboard for CPUs that may need more power in the future, like CPUs that may even never exist. They would just add that functionality in because they already had the hardware to support it, so they just added a jumper in the pathway to enable it. And so, and I remember from memory, I had a motherboard that had 2 types of memory on it. It had, you could either do the 30-pin DIMMs or you could do the dips, the little dip chips. Yeah. And this was like back, I think, in the 286 era when I did this. And there was a set of jumpers on the motherboard that not only told you which bank to look at, because if you had the wrong one set, it wouldn't see the memory, even if it was in the slot. So you had to set a jumper to tell it which bank to look at. Whereas today, now you just put memory wherever and it's going to find it, right? Yeah. Back then, you had to say like which bank it was, and you had to set a jumper telling it how big the bank was, because it had no way to ask the memory how large it was. It would just treat it however large you put the pin in. So you could even put the pin up and say, oh, I have a 10 gig or a 16 gig memory. Well, actually 16 megabyte. Say you have like a 16 megabyte DIMM when you only have a 1 megabyte DIMM, and it'll actually pop up in post and show 16 megs of RAM, and then it'll start doing the power on self test and fail because it'll just write off the end of the memory, and the memory's like, oh, there's no more chips here, like you can't write here. But that's the weird thing is like nowadays all the chips report back, right? It's like if you put a chip in, it can query the chip and say, oh, I know what your speed is, your cast timings. Right. I know if you're DDR4 or DDR5, not just by the slot type, but it can like query. I know if you're ECC or not, the parity or not. There's all these things that can query the chip for, and the chip's like, okay, here's a standardized way of telling you back shit. Same thing with monitors. Monitors nowadays. Oh yeah. Send that, was it EDID or
like
EID?
Yeah, they're able to talk to. That's how your machine can tell, like, oh, it's a Samsung monitor.
Exactly.
And all that stuff. Exactly. But my TV, my bigger monitor, my TV, it just says like generic display.
Yeah. Yeah, because it hit it for the EDID data, and it would be like, oh, I don't have that. Like, yeah. But the thing is with that EDID data now, it will only show you the options that you can select that your monitor supports. And if you try to force it to something else that's not supported, your screen just pops up and says, oh, unsupported resolution. Back in the day when you were on the old CRTs with the cathode ray gun shooting you with the electron beam between the eyeballs, you could overdrive that thing so far you'd actually blow up the screen. So you could actually, if you wanted to, go in there and say, oh, I want to run the CRT at 600 hertz. And the screen will just go, instead of the screen going, oh, unsupported. I mean, the later models did the EDID, but the old ones, like the old VGA screens, you just hear this. And you'd see like this jacked up, like brilliant point of light on the screen, like in the middle. And it would just like, if you left it like that, it would just start smoking and the screen would just burn down. And it's because the screen just did whatever it was told. Everything was analog, right? It's like if you pushed a signal to it that was, 600 times a second, it would try to do it. And it would literally die trying. And you used to be able to overclock. That's one thing I did like about analog, like VGA versus HDMI, or even DVI, which was like the first link from analog. Like they did DVI interlaced and DVI digital. Right. As the 2 types. But when they went to digital, the nice thing about it was the monitor controlled the decoding. Like they sent the data to the monitor would like control decoding and putting the information on the screen. So you could never overdrive the screen. It would just say not supported or whatever. Yeah. Back in the day, I loved the fact that it would just send anything it could to the monitor because people would find clever ways to like overclock the hardware. So like the old CRTs, I remember I had a ViewSonic CRT that could run at like 93 hertz. It was like 640, 480 or something like that. I could get it up over 120 hertz, but it was like some weird like 123.6 hertz because I could step it up. And what it would do is it would make the colors a little less vibrant because the beam wouldn't be there long enough to get the phosphors to light up all the way. And it would start shifting the image. The timing would fuck up with the image drifting. So, but you could combat that with software. You could go into the software and delay the timing a little bit. You could do this blanking thing. You could change up the timing and fuck with like the vertical and the horizontal sync and stuff until you got it to actually work and it looked good. And you could tune it to each monitor because you might have one monitor that just couldn't do it. Just like any overclock, right? But then you have that golden monitor that just like can overclock to the moon, and you can't really do that with LCDs. Like, you know, I've heard of people pushing 128 hertz signal to some of the cheaper LCDs and forcing it. Like, even though EDID says it can't handle it, they just send the signal anyways, and the screen's like, oh, okay, I'll show it. And it won't look that great. It won't have a lot of fidelity and stuff, but it's like the chip that they use to manufacture the screen does support that input resolution. They just don't list it as officially supported because the screen can't hit any of its specs at those settings. And but you could try it. Like, there's no harm in trying it. That's the thing with like modern technology. There's no harm, because if the screen can't physically do it, it won't. It'll just reject it. And that's what I love about the digital versus the analog shit. Is the analog shit you can just run the stuff to the moon, but then you run the risk of killing it, right? Because you know, your screen isn't designed to sit there and hum and like burn out your eardrums because it's running the flyback way hotter than it's supposed to, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Trending World, thank you for the subscribe. I appreciate that. Eric G, thank you for the $5 super chat earlier. By the way, if you guys include a message with your super chat, we will read it live on stream. He said, had it started yet? Well, finally actually got to witness the beginning of Tech Talk. Anyways, hope you guys are doing good.
It's our trucker buddy, Eric G.
Yeah, that's Eric G, man. Whoop, whoop. Driving, or I should say,
That's fun.
So, guys, I just to give you guys an update, I did not stream twice this week. I canceled my Wednesday stream and my Friday stream. And I canceled yesterday's stream because I'm dealing with like this wicked fatigue problem from a new medication they put me on. And it's starting to get a little bit better. Like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But here's the shitty decision I have to make right now. Is the new medication they put me on helps with the pain massively. Like, literally makes my pain, it's sometimes a 1 out of 10. Like, literally makes life good.
Yeah.
The problem is it also makes me so tired that I'm like narcoleptic. Like, I'll literally just be sitting on the toilet and fall asleep on the toilet. Like, after waking up in the morning, like, I'm awake, I go take my shower, boom, I'm out on the toilet. I'll be laying in bed watching a TV show, and I'll lose 5 minutes. Like, I'll just go to sleep and wake up, and I'm pounding coffee, I'm taking my Adderall, and I cannot fucking stay awake no matter what I do on this damn medication.
Like maybe a dosage thing? Like, could you find a balance where it's like you're not falling asleep but still getting maybe a 4 out of 10 relief?
That's kind of, you know, that's what I'm doing right now. Is I've been having the dosage, and I did get a little bit of progress with that, but it looks like the bigger problem is how it's interacting with my other medication, like my Wellbutrin that I take for depression. Looks like it
that's the one that should, man, that sleepy guy. They told me to start doing that, taking it in the evenings instead, so that like you're basically sleeping through the worst of it, and then like you're still getting the balance, like the chemical. That's actually a good idea.
That's a really good idea. And did they say that specifically with Wellbutrin? Because Wellbutrin's the one that's a stimulant based one.
Yeah. Because it had been originally Lexapro, which I didn't get real sleepy or nothing with that one, but the other side effects. And so they put me on the Wellbutrin, and that was making me sleepy.
See, and that's the weird thing, is like Wellbutrin is not supposed to make you sleepy, but it does for some people.
Yeah,
like, because it's a stimulant. It's literally a stimulant. It's like you drinking a cup of coffee is your Wellbutrin. It's like slow release coffee, basically.
Yeah, the generic, the bupropion.
Yep, bupropion.
I still got a bunch of that. I still got a bunch of it, but which actually I probably shouldn't. I don't take them. It's like a full thing.
So the new medication they got me on is called buprenorphine. Buprenorphine. I know they're all named like the so similar that you have to like pick up the bottles and like look at the shape of pills to figure out what you're taking.
Right.
But basically what it is, it's a long acting opiate, whereas the oxycodone I've taken for so many years was a short acting opiate. So it's like the oxycodone would just be like up, down, up, down, up, down, up all day long, right? It's like you take a dose, you feel better for a while, and then your back hurt like holy hell. You drag it out to the next dose, and you just go like this all day, right? And that was my life for like 14 years. Well, it stopped being effective, and we didn't want to go up into any higher dosage, so we decided to give this other stuff a try, which is, it's not Suboxone. It's got the same chemical as Suboxone, but it doesn't have the inhibitor in it. So Suboxone is what you use to get off of opiates. It's basically an intermediate opiate that you use for titration, but it also contains, Suboxone contains this. So this is Narcan. So
the counteractor stuff.
Yeah, and that's what they do is they put it in Suboxone. They put it in Suboxone so that if you swallow it or you inject it or anything like that, the Noxolone or whatever kicks in and completely wipes out the dose, so it doesn't do anything. So they didn't give me that stuff because that's the stuff they give you for getting off opiates, whereas I'm basically going to be on opiates for the rest of my life or some form of pain management. And so they're using this other one called Subutex. That's what it's called. Yeah, Subutex, but I got the generic, which is just buprenorphine. But basically it's a weaker opiate that lasts longer. Like a single dose gives you relief for 12 to 24 hours and it remains in your system for up to 3 days. Like it with some efficacy. So that's been great. Like the first 2 days I took it, I was like, holy shit, this gives me so much more pain relief than the oxycodone ever did. And best yet, it gave me no brain fog at all.
Nice.
Like, I was like, shit, yeah, it was like a miracle. Nice. But I was like, my wife was even like, hey, hold on, we've had med changes before where it was awesome, and then it went down the toilet. And I'm like, womp, 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 because like 2 days later, I'm struggling to stay awake.
Yeah.
Struggling to stay awake. And so I go start doing some research on it and interactions with other drugs and the Adderall and the Wellbutrin and stuff, trying to get a hold on what's going on. And they're like, yeah, it can actually cause chronic fatigue, but usually that goes away once you adjust to the medication.
Okay.
So
there might still be give it some time.
Yep, he's gonna keep me on it for 2. I feel a lot better today. Like today, I woke up, I took my dosage right when I woke up. I timed it, so I took it right when I woke up, and then I took my Adderall a half an hour later, and I took my Wellbutrin, and I'm sitting here drinking my cup of coffee. And right now, I feel pretty good. I'd say I'm about 90%.
Yeah,
and the pain level is like super manageable in my back. So I'm like, I love this new medication. This new medication is absolutely epic. Like I wish I had known about this years ago. But I have to solve that fatigue problem because, dude, it's like it's great to be comfortable, but yeah, if you can't stay awake and do anything, it's like you're screwed.
Yeah,
like I'll eventually get to the point where it's like I can't even afford to buy the damn medication in the first place, and it's kind of expensive too. That's the other thing. Even if it's generic, it's like $100 a month.
You got to check out this one. The fucking Grant Cardone guy did. Hold on, I keep forgetting. It's a really simple name, but I forget about the.
Cram said he has doses of diazepam, but it has to be rectally administered. Oh, is what you're saying?
Oh,
is
no,
really taking your diazepam?
Maybe it's not the Grant Cardone guy.
Who are you thinking about?
No, it's one of the Sharks. He owns a basketball team. Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Cuban.
Check out costplusdrugs.com.
Oh, I've heard of that.
He scooped up this. He bought up this. I guess a startup or whatever the fuck. And their whole jam is they charge 15% over manufacturing cost for bunches of drugs.
The only problem is I bet you he doesn't carry this or Adderall because they're both Schedule
Adderall
C.
I did look at Adderall. That's true.
Here, I'm looking them up right now.
Oh, I guess they do not do narcotics.
Yeah, they don't have I checked
that makes
all three.
Sense. That does make sense. I imagine there's some sort of regulation and well, I know for a fact that
it's heavily regulated.
There was a stay on, they call it Kyle's something, whatever. Some kid got a bunch of drugs prescribed to him over or online, or was able to get a bunch of drugs sent to him online, and so they cracked down hardcore on it. During the pandemic, they loosened it up a little bit. I was able to get like my Adderall prescribed to me online, video calls and stuff, but that stopped as of the beginning of October. So it makes sense that they wouldn't be able to do narcotics.
Yeah, my primary care physician can't even send a digital prescription. Only my pain doctor can.
Yeah.
So I have two separate doctors. I have my primary care physician who does like my testosterone therapy, checks my blood work, and does my physicals and everything twice a year. He's my go-to guy for when I'm sick. But then I have a pain doctor, which is assigned when there's nothing they can do for you more for the pain that you have. When you have a chronic pain issue, basically, they give you a doctor whose his purpose in life is just to maintain a good quality of life for as long as humanly possible. Yeah. And he can explore way more options than a primary care can.
Yeah, a specialist, right?
He's a specialist. So he has like a special thing where he can send the prescriptions in digitally, which my other doctor had to actually go to his office, pick up a hand script, and then hand deliver it myself in person at the pharmacy. And that was a pain in the ass, dude. So now he can digitally send those over. But again, it has to be one pharmacy. I have to pick up from the same pharmacy. And if that pharmacy ever changes and I have to change it, I have to go fill out physical paperwork, sign an agreement, and then transfer it so that there's no chance that two pharmacies could fill the same prescription. So because that's what some people used to do, apparently they'd take these handwritten scripts and photocopy them, and then they just go around to like 20 Walgreens and just get them all to fill the prescription, and none of them talk to each other, and none of their systems standardized on anything. So they just do this for years and years and years and years. And then, you know, the system would come online and they're like, oh, wait a second, you know, we put a system on where everybody can talk to each other. And now we're noticing this guy's refilled this prescription like 900,000 times. And then they go take you to jail. So you will get caught eventually. That's the thing with all this stuff, is it's like, you might think you're like crafty getting away with it now, but you won't in the future. Like everything is recorded now. So even if they don't know how to act on it today, they will figure out how to act on that data later on. So it's like, it's not like before where it's like, ooh, I slipped in under the radar before they were gathering that data or before they were collecting that. Now it's just a matter of, ooh, I slipped in before they actually had the system that used that data to their benefit. so just that's why I always advocate for, you know, people understanding what data is collected on the internet when you do things, because it's way more than you're thinking. And even though lots of that data isn't really practically used for anything, it is archived because storage is cheap, and that data will be useful to AIs and machine learning and all kinds of crazy shit in the future. So, you know, don't be surprised if in 15 years, some photo that you accidentally posted to your private Tumblr account or something like that doesn't end up coming back to bite you like 15 years later when they like change some law, or there's some new decency thing that goes into effect where it's like back in your day sending dick pics was trendy, but in the future it's like that's a felony. You know, it's like just wait for it. It's gonna be scary, and it's gonna be a scary future. For sure, especially when you consider like what the Microsoft Watson database holds. That's the one database that, as far as we know, has not been hacked. However, when it is hacked, and when I have no doubt it already has been hacked, I'm sure they don't know it yet, but it has been. The only thing that's protecting you is that database is so large that there is no internet connection or available storage that's large enough to duplicate that database anywhere. It's a private citizen. So even if you did hack their database, it's like needle in a haystack just because there's so much data in there. But now you have quantum computers becoming a reality. Now you have machine learning and AI, you know, coming into play that can analyze this data much faster than any humans ever could. And once you start unleashing these algorithms on this data set that, you know, 10 years ago was too big for you to ever even consider going through and scanning, now it's going to be trivial in the future, and they'll just scan it in real time as it's coming in and store that data in a much usable format. And that data will be.
That's where we're at.
Yeah,
that's where we're at right now. It's like why AI explosion, all this machine learning stuff is exploding, is because like now we've been collecting data for decades, and then now we have like a faster, more efficient way of going through it all. Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty wild, and some of the data that they collect is wild. Like I've told people before, if you run Windows, even if you've never logged into a Microsoft Live account, even if you've never had a Hotmail account or an Office 365 account, or whatever, you just run a Windows
error dumps and stuff.
There are dump files of your computer and its memory, the entirety of its memory stored in Microsoft servers, and realistically thousands of them that you have no idea about, because they're literally a single entry in your event manager that never physically show anything to the end user. And even if you didn't have network access on that computer, even if you had it completely cut off from network and it was just sitting there, all of that stuff that was collected was basically put into a cache. And the second that machine comes online in the future, doesn't matter, you could sell it to somebody and they could just boot it up, and, you know, even without the login and password, just boot it up and just let it sit there at the login prompt. It's going to be uploading all of that data to the cloud that it collected over the last years. And so, you know, people think that they're safe because they're like, oh, I did this and I have a firewall on my network at home. Well, what happens when you plug in a phone and you have tethering enabled or something? Then it's like, ooh, I got a new device, connect to it, boom, start dumping. By the time you know it and you turn it off, it's already transferred all the data. So you're basically in a situation where it's like, it's better to just assume that every single thing on your computer is known about somewhere in some database, even if it's not being acted on, even if it's not being used. Just assume that everything is everywhere is the best assumption that you can make, and then work backwards from that. That's my advice.
Pretty much.
Nicholas, thank you for the subscribe to the channel 3 hours ago. It's Alicia. Thank you for your subscribe to the channel 4 hours ago. Wow, a bunch of people like subscribed like just during the run up to the show. That's awesome. Naota, thank you for the 33-month subbed. Damn, that's commitment right there. Holy shit, I didn't even know YouTube had subs for that long. But speaking of YouTube, I think we should definitely talk about this new YouTube thing, because boy, this is polarizing as shit. Most stuff with YouTube is, but if you have not heard yet, guys, YouTube is entertaining the idea, or actually I think they are going this direction. I think it's pretty much committed. They're just letting people know. But YouTube will be setting it up to where you need a premium subscription. So you need YouTube Premium to watch 4K or higher resolution content. So you'll still be able to watch 1080p, 720p, 480p. You'll be able to watch every other resolution 1080p or less. And I think it's up to 1080-60. I don't know if they're dropping 1080-60, but if they are, that might be a little bit of a bigger deal.
I think they would keep 60.
Yeah, I think it's just resolution that they're dropping. And the reason and so everybody's kind of wondering like why they're doing it, right? Everybody has all these theories. Fuck. Oh no, and
that's why.
Is definitely one of them.
4K videos are humongous. And
well, they're 4 times the size of 1080p, right?
It's just they're big, man. No, all of it, everything to do with it. The encoding is going to take longer.
Yep.
The storage. I mean, look at it. Look at the workflow process as it is. Man, first off, I don't know why. I mean, I guess it makes some kind of sense for like the big guys, you know, the Peter McKinnon and the freaking Corridor Digitals and the Linus and stuff to upload 4K. I guess, but like from start to finish, doing anything in 4K is an outrageous like cost. The cameras, the software, the hardware to run the software in a way that's going to work well.
Everything goes up.
The entire workflow is just ridiculously expensive. It's stupid expensive.
Yeah, I can't think of a single thing that gets easier, honestly. I think with 4K, it's like every single thing goes up. Cost,
then
complexity,
you got
everything.
Internet to upload the fucking things because they're like fucking 10 gigabytes for your video at the end. Not to mention the storage of the raw video that you're recording in 4K is outrageous.
Yep.
Like the whole entire workflow, it only makes sense if you're making fucking bank, like hardcore stacks of cash, like Corridor, the fucking Casey Neistat, the big guys, right? You got to be making good freaking money to do 4K workflow. And
just not to mention, I've been uploading for 4K for like 10 years.
Okay.
So, and here's the thing too that I just want to point out, because again, there's some things that I don't think people see
and it took
unless
they're dual Xeon to be able to edit that shit 5 years ago.
Sure, no.
It is like that's what I'm talking about. It's expensive as shit.
But let me explain why. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just upload 1080p content? And why, even in some cases that I take existing 1080p content and upres it to 4K to make the file size bigger just to upload it to YouTube? And the answer is because YouTube for the longest time, and as far as I know, even now, still uses the resolution of the video as a determining factor in SEO. So when you search for a video, if you have 2 videos that are matched on everything else, engagement, comments, everything else, then the determining factor of which one is shown first to you is the one that actually has the most resolution supported. Because YouTube, if you have a TV that's like 8K or 4K, it wants you to see that content first. Like all other things equal, it wants you to see the content that basically lets their platform shine the most. And so that's why you saw so many people that were just upresing 1080p to 4K before they uploaded it. Plus, you got better compression. YouTube would assume that by uploading 4K that your content was considered of a higher quality, so they would use less compression on it, even relative to its size. So it wasn't just 4 times the size of 1080p, it would be sometimes 16 or 32 times the size of 1080p, because it would assume that you had HDR, it would assume that you had that you were shooting on like really crispy stuff where you didn't want to see artifacts and stuff like that. So they would give you a better picture quality and better SEO if you uploaded a larger file in a much higher resolution. So that's the reason why you saw so many people uploading 4K. Even if they didn't have a camera with 4K, you'd see people uploading 4K content that they just go into Adobe and say, upres my entire project to 4K and upload it. And I even remember one time I even took one of my videos and I reworked it to 8K. I upraised it to 8K because I just wanted to see what it looked like on my screen. And I uploaded it and it got more views than anything else that I'd done in the previous 2 years and the first day. Because it was 8K and that was such a prestigious group. Like people that just got an 8K TV, they go to YouTube. YouTube's like, oh, this supports 8K. So YouTube will start showing them their smaller library of 8K content, which is really being targeted at the people that support 8K, but also being shown to everybody else that supports every other resolution. So there is a reason. There is a practical reason if you take cost and everything from the creator's perspective to create 4K and 8K content, even if your equipment isn't even capable of doing it. Like there is a benefit. However, when you look at YouTube itself, the reason that I think they're doing this is my opinion from looking at this happen over a long period of time, is ad blockers. I think it's ad blockers. And the reason, let me explain my logic here. So ad blockers used to just be a nuisance to the algorithm, right? Only power users used them. Let's say 1% of people even knew what they were, let alone knew how to find them or use them, right? So when that first started and people were working around ads, these companies didn't think anything of it because they're like, okay, we're losing 1% of potential revenue, but it doesn't really matter because we're still getting engagement from those users, which will lead to making that up from the secondhand market. Or on the other flip side of it, it's like, okay, they're running these ad blockers, but for us to change the infrastructure to block that tactic,
how come we're not streaming in 4K then? Quality tops out at 1080 60.
Oh, because I prefer 60 frames per second over 4K 30.
Oh,
that's the only reason. I do have 4K capable streaming hardware. I do.
Here I am looking at my crispy, delicious 4K input to the VDO, and then I see this scratchy ass CRT looking fucking.
We also only have 237 viewers. If I was streaming at 4K, I guarantee that number would go up by another 50%.
You think so?
Yeah, because there's people that literally will just look at look for
That's
4K
so weird.
streams.
That is so weird to me.
Weird.
That is what's okay. Look, I get. Okay, so man, there's a bunch of comments in the chat that I want to touch on and stuff. Like
this is a big topic.
I love this one.
Huge topic.
I love this one. All you need is a phone and a 1K MacBook. So you're looking at $2,000 to record in 4K and edit in 4K. And I guarantee that your workflow editing on that MacBook, unless you have you're recording with an iPhone in their codec, ProRes, right? And editing on maybe an M1 MacBook, right? Because Intel-based MacBooks, actually an Intel-based MacBook would work fairly well with ProRes as well because of the QuickSync stuff. But you're now looking at $1,000 or $1,200 phone and at least $1,200 MacBook in order to edit that in a way that is going to be like enjoyable. But I'm telling you, it's just okay. So
most people don't.
Sure, it's sub-ideal, but it's not true that recording 4K may not. But like to edit in a nice way and all that stuff, and it is
most people
expensive.
use proxies.
Ugh. Okay, so now you're wasting time for your proxies to build.
Well, like my camera,
and nobody likes the
alongside.
workflow of working with proxies. Like I work for a company who like builds this for the top end. I know how expensive it is to work in 4K. I know.
To be clear, I 100%
in a good
agree.
way,
4K,
quickly.
4K makes everything more expensive. It does. It just does.
And I'm not saying like you don't have to drop 10 grand anymore. That's true. You're absolutely right. You could probably get away with, and I've seen people do amazing work editing on iPads and things like that. But that you have to be deeply invested in the ecosystem for that. Your Apple recording, Apple stuff to edit with, and M1 Mac Minis can be had for a couple $100. Where?
I mean, the used ones.
Not that bad
you
anymore.
Can find used
it's
ones
still.
fairly cheap.
I mean, I politely disagree, but it's not as simple as an M1 Mac Mini. And again, it's not gonna. Man, you're gonna be waiting for. I mean,
it depends on the platform too, though. Because I watched Andrew, so Graham's old friend, who was his editor for Valera.
Sure,
he used to edit 4K stuff in real time in Apple's own editing software. What was it called?
Sure.
What was their software called?
Final Cut.
Final Cut. So Final Cut Pro had some weird optimizations in it. Like he could edit 4K footage native, like actual 4K, like ProRes. Uncompressed, like crazy footage. He could edit that shit in real time on the timeline when I couldn't even do it on my higher end system in Premiere.
Sure.
So
things are kind of evened out on the Mac and stuff. Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: everything is 4K now, though. Like, remember during the generation when everything was 1080p, it made sense to not make 4K content because you'd literally be down-resing it. What's the point, right? But
there's also the iPhone or any phone records in 4K, yes, but it's encoded in HEVC, H264 or H265. Probably
it doesn't do it by default. It doesn't do it by default. iPhone, if you look in your settings, by default, it does not record 4K. You have to actually go into settings and say, I would like 4K.
You can tell it to do ProRes. You can now. I know that. But so if you don't, you're probably trying to edit in HEVC, which is a pain in the ass. It's not an editing codec. Like
no,
as I'm sure some of our more professional video editors will tell you, it's for viewing. It's for making a small file size at a good resolution. It's not meant for editing. It's pretty terrible unless you're working with an Intel CPU with QuickSync or you're invested in the Apple. Now, that's on the user side. Think about it from Google's side. They have to encode all of that shit for streaming, which means they got to change it again for whatever. whatever like codec that you're uploading, which is why there's preferred codecs for YouTube like built into Premiere and stuff so that it's easier for them. They have like those A1 or AV1 chips and stuff, which is making it easier, but it's still a lot of processing power on their end to deal with your 4K footage. So like it makes sense to me that they want to charge for it. I guarantee it's like you said, it's for the ad stuff, but the vast majority of their viewership, I guarantee, is not caring about trying to watch it in 4K. So much content is being viewed on mobile devices, so much. And then how many people do you know who just have YouTube on in the background, probably at the lowest resolution possible to save on bandwidth and stuff, just to listen to music or have some podcast like us, right? Like, there are going to be a significant number of people who are going to sign up for this just to get the 4K, because it totally makes sense for some content.
100%.
It really, really does. I'm not trying to say like, oh, you're a fucking idiot for doing it in 4K. There's stuff that I've watched film trailers. There's all kinds of cool stuff that I want to watch in 4K that I have kicked it up to 4K to do. I'm not going to sign up for YouTube Premium because I don't consume enough content to bother, and 1080 is enough usually.
See, and and you're definitely not the person that YouTube's targeting with this.
Yeah.
Like, here's why YouTube, the reason that YouTube's doing this, and I think it makes perfect sense. I think it's perfect sense what they're trying to do is back to the ad blocker thing. Why I think this is so heavily connected to ad blockers, because ad blocker, like I said, used to be only used by like 1%. They could recoup those costs, right? Even when it was used by 5%, they're like, well, the cost to upgrade our system to circumvent ad blocking would be so expensive. Because remember, they're not just doing it for YouTube. They would have to do this for the entire AdSense ecosystem across the entire internet, right? That's going to be a huge expense. So they have to basically lose enough money that it makes more sense and it'll be more profitable for them to upgrade their system to defend against it. They're hitting that tipping point, and they have been there for a long time, you know, because now I'd say that it seems like about 80%, just from my own experience, it seems about 80% of people are using ad blockers. It's like porn. Everybody says they don't use one, but everybody has one either knowingly or unknowingly in their network stack. And the thing is, ad blockers are so proliferated now that you may not even know you're using one. DNS servers, for instance, now have ad blockers built into them.
Oh yeah, man, you built your own little pie hole thing. And
stuff. Not even just pie hole. There's what's it called? OpenDNS? I think it's like OpenDNS or something. You can literally just go to OpenDNS, create an account. It'll create a custom DNS server for you that you connect to that basically runs a version of pie hole. And so now it's just in your DNS server. So your router gives a DNS to all your computers on your network, and you're basically just getting ad block for free with no plugins, no magic, nothing. It's just basically not resolving any ad servers. So because so many people have ad block now, the revenue for ads has gone through the floor. Like I remember back when it used to be a $24 CPM with 90+% of the views being monetized. Now it's like closer to 5%, 5 to 10% of the views are actually monetized. And of those, the CPM is like $3 or $4, given and then on the holidays, it can go up a little bit. But basically it's like, it's probably less than 5% of what it was even just like 10 years ago. Like that's how dramatically it's fallen, because everybody has an ad blocker. So you're like, why aren't they combating this? Well, the only way that you can combat an ad blocker, like the only way that you can actually shut down ad blockers, is to merge the advertisements into the RTMP stream so that it's seamless.
Like they do with Twitch. Yeah. Sometimes I noticed I was using an ad blocker for Twitch, and it would still like have the countdown, but it would be black. Like I wouldn't see anything. And it was like, it's still playing it, but I wasn't actually receiving the video.
Yeah, your browser is basically downloading the data. It's just not showing it. They're streaming it to you, and you're just ignoring it. But keep in mind, Twitch doesn't even do this properly. Like Twitch still does it in a way that circumvents most ad blockers, but like uBlock Origin or whatever still gets right around it. So they're still using a separate stream to send the ad on that can be ignored. But what they do is the first wave to fix this from a technical standpoint, the first way to fix this is basically say, unless the ad is sent to the user and the user acknowledges receipt of the ad from AdSense, in this case, then don't send them the RTMP stream. That way, if they block this or DNS fails for this, then they won't meet the criteria to send them this. That's relatively inexpensive. That's a relatively inexpensive fix. However, that creates some problems. If the ad block server is down, or the ad block server cannot serve an ad, or the ad block, there's some region shit going on or something like that. There's all kinds of mismatch edge cases and conditions that can happen where the person might not get the RTMP stream, even though they fully intended on watching the ad and they didn't even try to block it. right?
Yeah.
What happens if your ISP sees that specific AdSense server is threatening? Now, anytime an ad is served from that specific AdSense server, now you can't watch the RTMP stream. So it creates too many problems that'll ultimately people come back and say, Twitch, your stuff's broken. So it's a huge risk to do it that way, to basically say, okay, but that's a good way to do it overall, because you're like, okay, unless you watch this, you have to watch this. And you can even pop up a thing on the screen like you've seen on a ton of porn sites now. It'll pop up and say, hey, you have an ad blocker enabled, so you can't watch this video until you disable ad blocker. And the reason that they know that is because they check their server and it's like, oh, you never resolved that ad and never grabbed the stream for the ad, therefore there's no way you watched it. So the way that they work around that with modern ad blockers is they say, okay, just connect to the server that's serving the ad. So we know it's an ad, connect to the server that's serving the ad, request the RTMP stream, and then basically just spam the other stream until it becomes available, because sometimes the other stream will become available the second they send you a byte. So as soon as the ad server says, here, have a byte, then you can just kill that stream and you automatically have been validated and you can continue forward. Yeah. Now, the smarter systems can actually say, listen, you have to be streamed this advertisement that's this period of time. So this much time must elapse between the time that you request the ad before this RTMP stream becomes active. And that's why some of the ad blockers, you'll just get a timeout or you'll get a black screen for like 10 seconds or 20 seconds. And then it's
still got to click down the ad. Like it knows that this should be a 30-second ad, and whether it doesn't matter whether you actually watched it or not.
Exactly. So now the best option, but now the problem with that, of course, is you can basically just have a browser plugin that'll look ahead. So you basically just queue up everything that you want to do. It's going to go and open up all those feeds, check the boxes, do the timeouts, and then by the time you get to it to click on it, it's already cached and ready to go. So you can even work around those if you're clever enough. The one that you can't work around, though, is embedding the ad into the RTMP stream. However, this becomes massively expensive, because what you have to do now is not just take the data that you've cached on the server and transcode it and send it to the client, depending on the resolution they requested. You have to open that stream, dynamically embed the advertisement, which is going to be dynamic. There's going to be a million different ads, right? They're going to take all the advertisements. They're going to have to append that to the beginning of the stream, and then seamlessly transition from those bits without breaking the connection, seamlessly transition from those bits to the video bits where the resolutions and frame rates and everything all match, because you can't dynamically change that. So that becomes massively expensive, because now you have to have encoding servers, or you have to do caching, where you basically say, take every ad in every combination possible at any given time and create a special version of this entire video stream.
Ugh, yeah, that's weird.
That just gets incredibly expensive, right? So that's why you don't see a lot of sites using that method, because the amount of money that it would take to serve stuff in that manner would cost more than what you're charging for the advertisements in the first place. Therefore, it doesn't work, right? And that's why you haven't seen people move to that yet. Now, here's where I think YouTube is going with this, and I think YouTube is actually laying the groundwork for a bunch of other sites to do the same thing. What YouTube's doing is saying, listen, if we limit 4K streams and up, like the highest bandwidth usage streams, this includes like, the HDRI, all the big stuff, Dolby Vision, whatever the crap is that makes these files huge, right? Yeah. Let's reserve that for premium users, because premium users don't need to see ads, which means we never have to embed an ad in a premium stream, which means we can assume that anything served at high bandwidth doesn't even require the system at all. The system completely can be turned off for those guys. So they don't have to do this RTMP hack. But for the streams that they do the RTMP hack on in the future, as this moves forward, the people that move to premium, they get the 4K. Now they don't have to send any more ads to 4K streams. But now everything 1080p or less that they're embedding the ad in, they're using a minimum of 4x less bandwidth, 4x less storage. And in many cases, the advertisements that they have to embed into the video along with it, they're gonna know what those ads are ahead of time, so they can go and cache those, right? They don't have to do a million different resolutions. They can just say cache one for 720p and 1080p, and hell, don't even serve one for 480. Like for 480p, it's like so little bandwidth, it's so inconsequential, just like don't even serve them an ad if you don't want to. Yeah. So by them limiting the number of ads that they have to do this RTMP hack on in the future, by presenting premium, they're putting themselves in a position to invalidate every ad blocker in existence. That's the goal that they're gonna achieve, but they're gonna do it in a way that doesn't cost them more money than what it did. Because at 4K and above, it would have cost them more money to embed a stream with that much bandwidth, that much storage, that much complexity, processing power, and coding. To do that at 4K and higher, it's like for every 4K video they do that on, they could do that for 4 or more 1080p streams.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to create a balance here is what's going to happen. And this is the first step in that transition. You're going to see the premium thing happen first. And people are like, oh yeah, YouTube, I'm going to boycott it. But no, you're not. You're not. Everybody says that. Everybody gets mad. I do the same thing when I get pissed off. So fuck them. I'm not using their products, blah, 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 blah. No, you will, because what is the fucking alternative? There is no other place on the internet where you're going to find every single one of your favorite creators. Otherwise, you'd already be there right now. Like you wouldn't even be using YouTube, and this wouldn't even be an argument because you'd already be 100% there. It's just like the Linux versus Windows thing. We get it. You love Linux, you think it's amazing, but why do you still run Windows? Why are you still in Windows and stuff when you're playing games? If you could do everything on Linux the way that you wanted, you could completely boycott Microsoft, but that's not the case. And it's the same thing with YouTube. So people are going to robble about this like really bad publicly, but let me tell you why this is a good thing for content creators, not just for YouTube, but for content creators. One, the platform can't exist if all of its funding goes away. Right. So you can't squeeze nothing. You can't squeeze something out of nothing. Right. So if they do not have a revenue source, and I had somebody actually make a decent comment on Twitter, and this, I suppose most people see it this way, is that Google has enough money. They don't need any more money. And it's like, that's not really how it works. When you're talking about a publicly traded company, the stock price is what matters. And the stock price isn't driven by how many dollars. Yeah, how many dollars your company's worth. It's driven by the perception of like how you beating earnings over and over and over again. Basically, are you better than last year?
Infinite growth. Yeah.
Infinite growth. Exactly. So YouTube has shown a 31% decline in the last year. And this is the first time in like 10 or 15 years that they've suffered a huge dip like this. They made it all the way through COVID. COVID was seeing great glory days. Everything was good. And then just in the last year, they've seen this massive freaking plummet that's pretty much in lockstep with, DNS-based pie holes. Most VPNs, if you have a VPN, it usually has ad blocker built right into it. Like NordVPN does ad blocking as a part of its service now. There is so much ad blocking happening right now. And Google makes all of its money from advertisement. Like Google almost makes all of its money from ads. So when you have a business model that is that dependent on advertisements, and people have figured out how to circumvent that system, not just on YouTube, but even for your partners and websites that are using AdSense and everything. They've circumvented that system. They don't have enough revenue coming in to pay for the storage and the bandwidth and everything and turn a profit. So it's just like, I guess another argument I say is like pirating software, right? We all complain about games that have this always on server DRM shit, where it's like you have to be connected to the internet, even for single player mode. It has to verify. The reason that they do that shit is because if they release the game with no DRM and all you had to do is just drag and copy a file, or somebody just had to drag their CD over to your Skype and drop it and you just get it, double click it and play the game. If you could do that, they wouldn't sell enough copies to make a profit, and they wouldn't make any more games. Yeah, it'd be game over. Or what they'd have to do is move to an ad supported system, because if you can't sell the game directly, you would have to have ads.
I feel like what I have to say is like a little off from where we're at now, but it's like I feel like folk aren't. It's not a matter of watching ads. Like I know there's people. Oh, I don't ever want to watch an ad. Oh, hang on. I gotta. Okay. Sorry. I saw one comment. I responded and I had interpreted it poorly. So I apologize to Mr. Gordon there. Where was I? Oh, yeah. It's not so much people don't like some people. Yeah, I don't want to watch any ads. I, for one, I feel like I'm a good cross section of the average. I don't mind watching ads. I've said there's lots. I especially enjoy targeted ads. But that's the key, right? It has to be relevant and not too many. And that's the thing. It's like that's the balance that we have to come to. I mentioned like Hulu in a comment in the chat. It's like Hulu's terrible with their ads. Like I don't think I've seen one ad that I actually give a shit about when I'm watching Hulu. Heck, man, I'll get Spanish ads sometimes. Like I'm like, bro, what? Why? I don't know. Why are you even serving me this ad? This doesn't make no sense.
Because they're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Something. I don't know. It's whack. But Instagram, right? There's ads built into that all day long, and it like is like it's built in and it's good, and it's like I want to see this stuff. Sometimes it's at least relevant. Like I understand why I'm seeing it. Yeah. Right. What's the best part of the Super Bowl? The ads. Yeah, people love ads. People don't mind ads, I should say.
If done correctly,
paying to watch ads, that's Hulu, right? In a way. I mean, that's what we were doing with cable too. But so so yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like it's not so much, oh, people are blocking ads because they don't like the ads you're serving them more than the concept of advertisements in general. Like I think there was recently I think it was because of Netflix wanted to do an ad supported like tier, right? A subscription where you pay like $4
I know
a month or whatever.
Hulu did for sure too.
Oh, Hulu is I pay $12 or $13 a month for Disney Plus, Hulu, and all that stuff, and I still get ads on Hulu. But they were doing studies and stuff, and they, I guess part of their research was coming back that like people will tolerate, like the best average is like 5 minutes per hour of ads. Yeah, ads do kind of ruin live streams, right? And that's rough. Yeah. So I had an idea about that because like ads during live streams and things like that.
Like they just
not always. If they're not regularly running ads, they'll get midstream ads. Like you'll be watching it's like you'll get I think it's like one ad break per hour of watching or so, but it's like a variable number of ads that you'll get.
Right, but if you choose when to serve the ads and you do it within their minimums, then they won't serve the ads. That you like you just build it in like a commercial on TV.
That's
where it's
what
like,
I would
we'll
do.
be right back in 30 seconds or whatever, and you hit that button.
That's what I would do on my stream.
Same here. Same.
Is like, hey guys, it's the top of the hour. I'm gonna run my corporate mandated ad. Like I'd make it a goof. Like, all right, the corporate overlords are telling me to run ads now. Go take a shit. I'll be right back in a minute and a half, or whatever.
Yeah, like Internet Historian does a really good job of that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
He's like time for shill time or whatever.
Also, you know when like DVRs and stuff were just starting to blow up. And people were skipping. You could just fast forward through the commercials and stuff. They were like, "What the fuck, man? We got people skipping our ads. What are we gonna do?" So they started those pop-up lower thirds. Why can't Twitch and YouTube and things like that build that in? Something like that. It's built. You can't block it because it's a part of the video player itself, right? And then they can tie it more easily back to their ad like database. Like I'm going to see a different pop-up lower third or a swoop in kind of thing. Right. And I think that would work best with live streams because you're not totally interrupting the content. You're kind of like getting in the way. Like the viewer is now losing a chunk of what they're looking, but it worked really well on TV. And I thought that was a really clever sort of in-between solution for them. Twitch has lower thirds now. Oh, see, I don't fucking.
They've had lower thirds for a long time. The reason that they don't use them or people don't see them as much is because they pay so little compared to a full screen ad.
I don't know, man. If it was some ad for something, I don't know. I feel like, especially if it was clickable and would pop up not a new tab because now you're losing your content, but like a new window or something, or even a built like a picture-in-picture kind of thing. I don't know. Because yeah, man, like you could be doing, say I'm playing Rainbow Six or something, or I don't know, anything. It could popping up relevant. Download the DLC for the game that's being played. You got all the regular geeky surrounding stuff, Monster and all the other Red Bulls and whatever else you want to stop. Or picture-in-picture ads. Like if you're going to show me a video ad, at least like, and I think they do this on Twitch on some things. Like the stream like shrinks up to the corner while the video ad plays, and like it mutes this and stuff, and then it comes. I think I've seen that on Twitch too. But like that's a good one. Yep. So I don't know. I think
there's a ton of ways to serve ads, but at the end of the day, the ads that are most successful are the ones that are running the most, like that they keep picking to run the most, and that's going to be a completely invasive ad that pulls up and draws your full attention. Because anytime your attention is divided, your click through is going to be less. So like, for instance, if they're watching you and they're hanging on to every word you're saying and the thing pops up at the bottom of the screen that they got to read now while they're listening to you simultaneously and figure out if that's something they're interested in and want to click on. And plus they would have to embed it into the video so that you'd go back later and be able to find it again if you wanted to like go revisit it after the stream. So if they did an overlay from like a database where they're changing out the ads and that's a different one every time you play through, that could create a problem. But putting it in the video could also create a problem, because what happens if they no longer have the rights to run ads for that company, or that company pulls out from that? Because now they have all these archived VODs and videos that have these latent ads stuck in them that they created that they no longer have the rights for. So they'd have to go through and edit those chunks out, which could break the integrity of the video. So there's a lot of like weird edge cases that they have to deal with. But the one thing I know that like just being in this game for so long is that full screen ads that grab the full attention, like pre-roll ads, have the highest engagement rate. It's as surprising as that is, and most people don't want to admit it, but it is the highest engagement rate, because if you see one of those, when you click on a video and it's something that's like, wow, this is like they used my data to market it to me, and I'm actually looking for a fix for my camera, and this thing pops up, oh, we'll fix your camera for $20, free shipping and handling, and you see that, you're like, oh, that lines up exactly with what I want, because they used my personal data to figure out where my weakness is at that point and where I'm willing to spend, and then put that advertisement in front of me when it demands my full attention so that I'm not dividing it. So as much as we hate it, we do this to ourselves. So at the end of the day, it's like the reason that we're seeing ads, the reason ad blockers are now going to be going away, the reason you're seeing more of a movement to premium models is all because of us and what we did. And this is the truth. Like, here, let me ask you a question. So somebody said, okay, so why do they run ads on videos? Like, why don't the people that just make the videos just get tips or whatever, or get super chats or the subs and stuff? Why don't they just get rid of ads and move 100% to that model? Well, the thing is like 99% of the people that watch content on YouTube don't want to spend any money. They don't, half of them don't even have an account, right? So most of their viewership doesn't come from an audience that could give them money in that way. And then they would have to give the vast majority of that to the creator. And to be clear, people ask why they take such a big cut of super chats and stuff. That also goes back to ad revenue, because it used to be that they could take a bigger chunk of the ad revenue because there was so much more ad revenue, and they'd be able to leave the donation model like relatively unmolested. But every platform's realizing that that's becoming more and more significant because the ads just aren't bringing in the money anymore. And it's not because the ads are bad. It's just because ad blocker is so proliferated across everything that it's really difficult to get an ad to a user before a video starts in a way that they actually are seeing it and engaging with it. And so when I say we created this problem ourselves, let me go back to the question that I stated earlier, is like, okay, if you could get something for free and it was easy, so you just click a button, you get something for free, you don't have to pay for it, and it's not illegal, are you going to do it? Chances are most people will. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, I run an ad blocker, but I whitelist the sites I like and stuff. And I know people that personally do that. But the truth is, if you could just install a thing that makes it so you don't have to spend another $100 a year or $200 a year, and you get all the same things that you would had you spent that money, then obviously the average user is going to do that. And that's what ad blockers are. You're not doing anything illegal. All ad blockers are doing is just denying data come to your computer. They can't make that illegal. That'd be a huge problem. So ad blockers are legal. People can use them, and they are effective against, destroying the companies and creators' way to get ad revenue through that model. And so the only other option that you have there, if they can't get money from that, is to do a subscription-based service like premium. Because now if you can't serve them ads, you have to get them to pay up front, right? That's the model that they move towards. But then you have people that are mad, and they're like, okay, well, wait a second. I used to get it for free, but now I don't get it for free anymore. I got to pay premium. But it's like, you've been getting it for free for all these years because you've been using an ad blocker. And now they're creating a situation to where now there's value in buying their service, because an ad blocker was easy to do. It's not so easy to have a plugin that just makes everything 4K and look exactly like it was supposed to when the person created it, right? Like, that's a plugin that, you could do AI stuff and frame doubling and upscaling and stuff like that, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the true artist's intent. It's going to be like interpolation on a TV. So now they're saying that, listen, premium doesn't just get you shit that you can hack around with plugins. Now premium actually gets you something that's controlled from our side. So now you actually have to sign up to get this. And that makes people mad, but at the same time, it's their way of ensuring that they can recoup revenue from the vast majority of the audience that doesn't make them any revenue to begin with and just are drained. And you run into this huge, like, weird problem where people think, okay, so if they make money from ads, then they shouldn't have a premium service, right? But if they were making money from ads, they wouldn't need a premium service. But then you're like, oh, they have a premium service, and when they were serving ads, they shouldn't be able to do both at the same time. Like, they should just be a premium service. But they can't really do that either, because they know that the vast majority of their audience can't afford premium. So the middle ground is, how do we take the people that are capable of paying, like the people that actually do have a little bit of money, how do we convert them from just using the free plugin that's perfectly legal with no retribution, no consequences, that gave it to them for free, and now offer something that they do have to actually pay for? And the truth is, a lot of those users will pay. And because they'll pay, that revenue that goes towards YouTube Premium will now be split with content creators, which means now all the viewers under those premium accounts are generating revenue for the creators they're watching, where with ad blocker, they were generating zero.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing overall for the community. People just don't realize it.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, it's going to be shitty for some people, I guess. But yeah, I do think, I understand the move. I do think it makes sense. I don't think the average, the 80%, I don't think it's going to affect them. I don't think the vast majority of folk are even going to notice. Yes. Not any more than they already do for the thing that fucking pops up and says, hey man, you should sign up for YouTube Premium all the time. And so yeah, the people who care are going to pay or find some way around it, because of course the leapfrogging of all this stuff. But yeah, no, I think it makes sense and good for them, because it's tough. It's tough to store, it's tough to process, it's tough to serve, all of this.
There's another funny argument to be made too, and that was somebody was like, well, I'm just going to go and download the 4K YouTube videos from like torrents, and I'm going to do this. Well, here's the thing though. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your time to wait for somebody with premium to download that video, re-upload it to a torrent, seed it so that everybody else can go and download it, and then you having to wait for it to download with the torrent and then playing it once you've downloaded it? So you're not watching it right when it came out, you're watching it significantly delayed. If you're willing to put that much effort into it versus paying like 10 cents a day for access to the premium, then your time isn't worth very much. So you're not the core audience that YouTube is trying to make money off of. Like if it is more profitable to you to go spend that much time digging around in torrents and seeding things and using, illicit services and taking on the not just the moral responsibility, but also you're breaking the law and, committing a felony. Now it's not a super actionable one. I'm not saying that they're going to come bang down your door because you downloaded a YouTube video, but still it's like if they wanted to add that as an add-on to an existing case or something they were prosecuting, they certainly could, because it is technically illegal. Right. So you're assuming some responsibility. There's some risk there. There's timing, all this stuff. If you're willing to go through all that to get a 4K video instead of watching it in 1080p, then by all means do it, because you're not, you're not what YouTube is targeting. You're not, if you're willing to put that much time into getting something for free versus paying 10 cents to the service that's actually trying to give it to you efficiently, then at that point, you're not a customer that you're a drain on YouTube. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping the creators. You're not helping the platform. You're just, it's a parasitic drain. Like people seem to think that by giving a view, that is like the same as like giving monetary support. Now, here's the thing: to a degree, that can be. If I use an ad blocker and I view your video and my view puts you one view above the other guy, so now that you just happen to be on the first page instead of the second page, so a couple other people find you that wouldn't have found you before, and they like the content, they sub, and they don't have an ad blocker, then yes, I've made money because of you viewing my video. But what people seem to fail to realize is everybody has this weird psychology where they think they're the only ones doing it. Like, I'm the only one smart enough to use an ad blocker. Only a few people use ad blockers. Only a few people do this. So there's still, everybody else is still paying. So obviously they're making tons of money. No. But the psychology, just like with religion, is everybody is thinking in their head that they're the only ones doing it. Everybody's like, oh, I'm the only one doing this. Obviously other people are paying for it. Oh, I'm the only one crafty enough to use an ad blocker. Obviously my grandma and shit, they're still paying for it, right? No, that's the problem. Everybody thinks that, but everybody's in that small group that they think they're in, but they're realistically the big group. So now when you go and watch the video with ad blocker enabled and you show it to 3 of your friends, well, your 3 friends know you and you probably told them how to use ad blocker. So now they're using ad blocker. They go watch it. They show it to their 12 friends. And now that becomes a drain on the system, because all the additional views and clout that you're getting is disproportionately people who are not paying the system, but are using the bandwidth and using the resources of that system, driving the price of that system up.
Yeah. Burn it all to the ground.
Hey, holy shit, look at this guy.
Why can't I quit you?
Oh, wait. You're like super doubled.
Yeah, it's because he's in the copy that I made of you. Here, hold on.
Oh, you got to crop it from the bottom.
I am. I'm just a copy of you. It's true.
I'll fix
it.
Dude, it's good to see.
Sorry, I've got a room full
of robots.
I've got a house full of teenagers.
That's awesome.
So I'm hiding in the basement. So I just thought I'd pop in and say hi while I
Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah. Dude, we appreciate it, man. Haven't seen your mug in a while.
I just can't. Why can't I quit you? I don't know.
It's the beard.
Well, actually, we should have you weigh in this. Like, have you heard about this whole YouTube shenanigans going on?
Oh man, I can't keep track of it. Between that and the Twitch dramas and the I just want to burn it all to the ground and start like a blockchain video service where we own it again, as opposed to these freaking corporations.
See, the funny thing is though, with blockchain is that's another illusionary thing where people are like, oh, if it's blockchain, then the people own it. No, look at services like library, like Odyssey, right?
Yeah, someone's still got to own, someone's got to set it up. I mean, I get that, but just the idea that, I don't know, why can't I just stream from my damn computer and store it somewhere? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess no matter what happens, you end up dealing with some kind of a corporation.
Yeah,
let me kill the autofocus on this thing, because
plus you wouldn't be able to serve enough content. That's the other things. Like people like, oh well, you got to, let's say you have a symmetrical gigabit connection. It's like, how many simultaneous videos can you feed with that connection? And
it's true. No one can afford it. It's so true.
Yeah, and if you're a big YouTuber, you're probably like, I'd love to go look at the stat on this, because I'm sure there's an analytic for it. I bet you if you look at the total bandwidth transmitted to every user, like take multiplexing and all that stuff out of the picture, just the total number of bytes sent to every single person that watches across your channel. Like my channel is pretty much dead after 2 years of not making, edited content, and I still get like, I want to say 500,000 views a month. So 500,000 views a month. I mean, when you start like working out the math on that, it's like, okay, how many is that a day, right? So if we go 500,000 and we divide that by like say 30, and then we divide it by 24, that's still 694 videos an hour being streamed, right? So then you go down to a minute, that's still 11 videos streamed per minute. So you would still like max out your home bandwidth connection, like just serving enough videos to people. And that's for like an unpopular channel. If your channel's getting million, 2 million, 12 million, 24 million views a month, like
you're hoisted by your own Plutard.
Yeah, the cost of your bandwidth would be astronomical. And that's why it's great that we have services like YouTube where they get the bandwidth so cheap just because they've invested on the front end for that infrastructure that they can do stuff, pennies on the hundreds of dollars. For like what you want to do, and you can't compete,
I mean, and I love that, and I love that it has sort of democratized. No, it's completely democratized the idea of streaming. Quick question for you: is there a way to adjust? How do I adjust my camera settings from in here? Is there a way to do that, or do I have to do it externally, like outside on my
camera?
Desktop?
So inside of Video Ninja, if you look at like your little panel that you have with your video, if you scroll down, there's an additional controls flyout that you can click on. And it'll show you some of the extra stuff you can do. And then you click on video settings and audio settings if you want to like fart with stuff on your side.
I just want to kill the autofocus.
That'll be for the camera.
Yeah, for that you probably have to go into like the actual camera settings, which I think to get access to that you probably have to open up like OBS or something like that, and then right click on it and go into camera settings.
Oh, that'll do it for me?
Yeah. You should.
That'll kill, but would that kill the stream for you at the same time?
You might get a little wiggly for a minute while OBS
always
tries to take over.
wiggly.
It'll take over.
When am I not a little wiggly?
Camera.
It'll be a little wiggle.
It goes wiggle.
So basically what you run into with services like YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that is at the end of the day, these things cost money to run, and people. And here's the other thing. I had somebody just say, hey, everybody is just putting ads in their videos now. And so they make money that way. And it's like, but the only reason they're doing that is because the way the system served the ads before has died. They're not making any money doing it that way. So now they're embedding the ads. But you know who doesn't get paid when they do that? YouTube. YouTube doesn't get paid. If I embed an ad, if I say, hey, today's video is sponsored by Raid Ripoff Legends or whatever, I get all of that money. YouTube doesn't get a dime of it. So and the thing is like, why doesn't YouTube just ban that? Why doesn't YouTube just say, oh, you can't have advertisements inside of your videos? They can't.
There's no way to really stop that.
Legally, they can't. Like, yeah, that would get beaten down in court so fast. The only thing that they can do is they can have you select an option that says that there's product placement. And by doing that, it'll just pop up a thing on the screen saying there's product placement, which protects them from the FCC. If the FCC is like, oh, they didn't mention that this was a sponsored video, they can say, oh, we made the best effort to give them the option to show that to the end user so that they're not responsible by proxy serving content that's doing something illegal. So, but that's all it does. It doesn't change anything. Even when you select there's product placement in this video, they still try to serve ads on it. it doesn't, as far as I can tell, it doesn't change anything except for just put a little overlay that says that this video you're watching does contain product placement. So if they could kill that, they wouldn't a heartbeat, because that's the biggest revenue killer to Twitch and YouTube is that everybody is now being their own marketing manager and going directly to these companies. And now YouTube is paying for the storage for your videos, the bandwidth for your videos, the indexing, search engine, all this stuff that adds up, right? For like hosting your channel and that content. And they're making $0 on that video because if everybody's running an ad blocker that's watching it, nobody is subscribed to the channel or has premium, right? And I'm not saying that that's the case for anybody. There's always going to be one person that has those things, sure. But if the vast majority of the people are running an ad blocker, not a premium user, then YouTube gets nothing. YouTube is basically just serving that channel, you know, for all intents and purposes for free. On their case. And so they're
getting information about the viewers though. I mean, that data has got to be worth something.
Here's the thing. What do they use the data for?
Ads.
Targeted advertisement. That is now I'm not saying that there isn't,
but it can be targeting ads across any platform, right? They've also got their search, they've got
that's the problem though, is ad blockers block them all. Ad blockers attack AdSense, and AdSense is the service they use for serving ads across web pages, vlogs, audio podcasts, video podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, all these different services use some variation of a background advertisement server, whether it be DoubleClick or AdBlock. They all use one of these ad services, and the ad blockers themselves block those services entirely. So it doesn't matter if you go to a YouTube video, a Twitch stream, or to a vlog on WordPress, you are blocking all of the ads that would generate revenue for that platform and for that person. So, and the thing is, like, why, you know, I talked about this earlier. I'm like, why don't they just fix ad block? And it's like, well, so that it can't be blocked. And the reason being is it's astronomically expensive. So they had to wait until it got to the point where it was taking so much of the revenue. So many people had ad block that it was killing so much of the revenue and chasing off so many other advertisers and converting their advertisers into going directly to the content creators. It's causing them so much damage that they are being forced now to say, you know what, even if we have to spend 90% of our revenue to do this embedded RTMP thing and to limit bandwidth and features to premium accounts and stuff like that, even if they take a huge hit on that profit wise, when you factor in all the people running ad block, it's still more profit than what they were making before. So it's basically the less of two evils. And so their move that they're doing right now, I think, so the TLDR of what I was saying earlier is I think YouTube is enabling only 4K and higher resolutions for premium accounts, not just to try to get people to go and get a premium account. That's one reason. But the other reason is because they want to make sure that they limit the amount of streams that they have to do this RTMP ad embed in the future. So in the future, they're going to have to merge these streams. That's going to take a lot of bandwidth, a lot of CPU, a lot of storage to pull that off. And if they can eliminate 4K and higher resolution streams from having to do that by moving them to premium, they've greatly reduced their costs for implementing that system on the remaining users.
So sorry, so we have to pay to be 4K.
Correct. Moving forward.
I see. All right. I mean, I'm so old school. I don't want ads, so I just paid for the service. I just paid for YouTube.
Yeah, I do the same. I have premium, and I like it because you get music.
It's great.
Yeah,
and I don't have nothing weird's happening in the background trying to stop things, and you know, I mean, I definitely I don't mind using the service the way it's used. My concern is just that, you know, and again, I'm sort of torn on this because I sort of go like, if you're going to make a living on YouTube, you're making a living on someone else's platform. You have no control over it. This is why everyone should be gathering like email lists and you know, archiving their content and stuff. You just don't know what
they control your destiny.
It can't be dependent on a single platform.
No, and you also don't know what legislation is going to do because that's coming now, right? I mean, between, you know, the European approach to privacy and the requirements there, California's new working on some new laws and stuff. And all of a sudden, you know what's going to happen. Google's just going to go like, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we don't like that. And then just shut down some service in some way, shape, or form.
Or block your account, or like...
people can get as mad as they want, but the reality is, like, what do you want? I mean, there's like, you sort of have to, unless you want to develop your own platforms, I don't know what else you're supposed to do.
And the thing is, what would happen if everybody was competent and everybody developed their own platform? The same thing would happen that happened with ad block, is you would have so many people offering the same service that it would divide up the user base in so many pieces of the pie that not a single one of them would be profitable. So you'd have the exact same effect, because this is like, you can apply the same logic to everything. It's like, for instance, let's say back 12 years ago or 15 years ago, you do a live stream. And if you had a live stream that had like 100 or 200 live viewers, you were considered like the top 1% bucket of the internet, and people thought you were famous. Like if you went
and you
somewhere,
were
like,
crushing,
you were crushing,
crushing the internet.
Exactly. And now today it's like you do a live stream, you have 500 live viewers, and you're considered in the the top 20% or 25% bucket. You have 4,000, you're not even in the top 5% bucket yet. I mean, it's because so many more people saw how much fun people were having streaming and how profitable it was. So of course they did it. It's the same thing with ad block.
And it's
Everybody
the message they sell.
Yeah,
that's the message they sell, right? They don't want to hear about the 99.09% of people who don't earn a living doing this stuff. They want to hear about those people who are like living it up,
right?
They want the moist criticals and the big success stories. You know,
selling
what I mean?
the lifestyle. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like rappers, right? What do rappers do when they come to Hollywood, right? They're usually flat broke. They usually have a label that's like ready to pounce on them and take advantage and take zero liability. And what do? They go to the bank, take out a mortgage that will completely make or break them, go rent a house, rent a car, and act like they're living the billionaire lifestyle and hope that it catches fire. So that
I saw actors doing the same thing all the time. Actors all the time.
It's common, right?
Trying to look like they're more successful than they are.
Yep, and even managers, like in managers in Hollywood, not just for music, but also for like the was it Screen Actors Guild or whatever, right? They'll come in and they'll do the same type of logic. That's like, we need to get you in front of people. We need people to think that you are a bigger celebrity than you are. We need people to think that you are the new hot thing, and they're going to push in that direction really, really hard, even if it means less money up front, because it'll get your name in a place where you can make more money down the road. So it's like,
and they're not just making their money from ads, right? I mean, that's like, yes, there's obviously some of it, but it seems to me like the ones who are really making money have all these side hustles going. Like they have consulting businesses, they have esports teams, they have marketing. Marketing is a big one, right? All these. Ryan Reynolds is a great example of a guy. Yep. There's a guy who's taken his fame and turned it into multiple different things, including
that's the way to go.
Yeah, but it's really smart. He's diversified, obviously, because if he has some horrible face scarring accident, he's no longer the go-to guy. Then
like Shaq. I love Shaq stacking his cash super quiet. Like he owns like 140 Papa John's restaurants. He's got all those ads that you see him in, he owns like a significant stake in those companies. And like that's been like part of his deal was like, I'm going to be in the ads and stuff. And man, he flipped what, little, like he was talking about, man, I was kind of dumb early on, but he like had a talk with Bezos or something at one point, and he's like, man, it completely changed my life. I went out and like started buying these franchises and stuff and investing in different companies and stuff, and that's the way to go. That's it for content creators too. You can't just. I've said it a bunch for Twitch and things like that. Like, oh, how do I? Even Twitch is not at all about discovery. They do not care about trying to
discovery
help.
Sucks on Twitch.
It does, and they don't care. They're not trying.
It's a great platform. Like it's just as a stream.
Yeah, but to get found, you need to go put your stuff elsewhere, and that right there should be the fact for everybody. Whether you're creating, whether you're on, if your main jam is Instagram or you're writing a blog or something, like it just put that shit all over the place, and you can't just rely on one spot.
My concern is
put your stuff everywhere.
I feel like we've got to a point now where you sell this dream of going online and doing this all for a living type thing. But the reality is you are so busy working for yourself that you're not running a company. You're basically just working yourself to death.
Yeah, I quit my 9 to 5 to start my side hustle as a full time. Now I work 24/7.
Yeah, now I work 24/7, and I'm earning more money than I've ever had in my life. And it's like, yeah, great, except that like what about the downtime? I know that sounds so old, man.
Well, it comes back around to, there was an interview with both Jobs and Bill Gates sitting next to each other. And Jobs and Bill Gates nodding along to Jobs saying this. He's like, look, you can't, if you want to go down this path, like it has to be your everything. You have to love every moment of what you're doing, or you're going to burn out and give up. Like you have to be like, this has to be your soul. But it comes back around to managing expectations. If you want your Twitch channel, or if you want your content creation to be your full-time everything, then yeah, it has to be everything. It has to be, and you have to love most of what you're doing.
And treat it like a 9 to 5, in that you've got to be doing it every day. You've got to have that. But the weird thing is the algorithms reward that behavior. I feel I have this like stupid thing where I'm like, turn off notifications because I don't want to be told by my devices when I want to be in touch with my friends.
Right. And you don't have to. You can totally do it at your own pace and stuff. Like, you don't have to be pumping out 10 videos a week on YouTube and stuff. You can set it up to where, like, I'm going to do one YouTube video a week. And that's fine. There's just different avenues you're going to have to take in order to grow and things like that. But
Jerry, what are you thinking about doing? What's your approach going forward, do you think?
For me, I wanted to get back to video production on YouTube. That's my number one thing that I want to get back to, is making edited content again.
Why? When you are so much better at live content. I feel like not better. I'm sorry, not better. I think that you enjoy live content better. And so why do stuff that you don't enjoy? You could pawn off the video. You can do all your Twitch streams and stuff and pawn off the video editing to somebody else and put it up on YouTube.
It's a different type of telling story. It's like, I see it as something that's completely different. So the reason that I like the video stuff is, like, for instance, I have 800 videos on YouTube right now, right?
Sure.
And a lot of those videos still see high viewership even after like 8 years, just because the relevance keeps coming around. It's just kind of cool to have that history of all of that stuff that's like in a high quality multicam, story being told with jump cuts and speeding things up and doing funny things that you can't do in a virtual like environment. Like,
it's fun creating stuff.
It's just fun creating stuff and telling the story. So that's why I'd be doing it. The other thing is for diversity, because one thing you'll notice when you do Twitch is, like, if you already have an established YouTube channel with thousands and thousands of viewers and you go over to Twitch and you create an account, you're going to grow faster than the guy that just started on Twitch. Because you can take your entire audience from YouTube, say, go over there. And even if 1% of them do, it already gives you the leg up on everybody else. Boom, your affiliate partner, you're gone. Like, boom. And so having all those different types of content everywhere, not just like I could live stream on YouTube and live stream on Twitch like I do right here, but by separating where I do the tech stuff with you guys here on YouTube and then do my own thing over on Twitch, just like you have brand loyalty where some people just like YouTube and some people like Twitch and they won't go between them, I also create two different types of audiences. So I can tap into, like, if I want to get more serious and I want to get like crazy and just talk about anything, no restrictions, no hold barred, 18 plus stream on Twitch. That's what I do. If I want to talk technology and I want to talk with you guys and, have an opinion and hanging out and stuff like that, this is a good forum for that, because the audience that I built here is more compatible with that. So if one service dies, the other one kind of gives me a fallback, right? Where everybody can regroup. If you just put all your eggs in one basket, then you're screwed if that service goes down. Like, if YouTube just decided to ban me tomorrow, like, which has happened before, right? They can just ban my channel and say, listen, you have no legal standing. Like, I can't sue them. I agreed when I was on their platform.
Sandbox, right?
Exactly. It's their sandbox.
It's their toy. They can tell you to leave anytime they want.
Exactly. So if they tell me to leave, or same thing goes for Twitch. If Twitch just says one day, hey, you're a little too hardcore, we just got bought out by, like, Christianity or whatever, or Mormonism, and they don't want you talking anymore. So you
just got bought by Jesus.
Exactly. Jesus bought him, or Scientology bought him, and they didn't like the way I was talking about flat earth. But anyways, they can ban me for whatever reason. So if I put all of my effort into just the one platform, the fear is they control my entire destiny. Whereas now, if either platform bans me, as long as it's not at the same time, I have a safe ground to run to basically rally support, to put pressure on them to let me back on the service. Because let's be honest, the only people you've seen get unbanned from like Twitch and YouTube are people that get the attention of a big content creator on that platform that then escalates their voice or elevates it.
Or have the money for a lawyer. That's the other,
Yeah, even with a lawyer, it's like, good luck, right? I mean, their legal team has no problem telling you to pound sand unless they think you got a ton of money. It's kind of like that AuxxZillary thing that just happened, where Butt Boy Crypto, this guy on the internet who's a crypto scammer, allegedly, he decides to, file a lawsuit against this AuxxZillary guy and sue him for like $100,000 because he didn't like the fact that he called him a scammer, and he said that it was defamatory. And even though it had no merit, it wouldn't have gone anywhere in court. It still required him to get a lawyer and file counter paperwork and everything. And the dude was
harassment. Harassment.
The guy exactly, legal harassment. He came online and he said, "Oh yeah, this AuxxZillary guy is going to learn a hard lesson. Ha ha ha. He messed with the wrong guy." Well, then AuxxZillary went public. A couple other big content creators like CoffeeZilla and stuff picked up a story and ran with it. His GoFundMe raised $250,000 for legal expenses, and then a bunch of internet attorneys like Legal and stuff were like, oh, we got you. And as soon as that happened, the guy immediately withdrew the lawsuit, publicly said, oh, I didn't want this to become public. I was just trying to get him to take down his video. I didn't mean for any of this. I mean, the dude was completely like, I'm sorry, I'm never gonna, I shouldn't have done this. I wished I hadn't done this, because he realized that it wasn't about the merit of his lawsuit. It was about who had the most money for a legal defense that could do the most legal damage to the other person.
And who has the biggest audience.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the other thing, right? I mean, it just comes down to, you can get, you get enough, Elon Musk fanboys behind you, and all of a sudden people give it weight, right?
So clout is important, right? I mean, clout is a huge metric in society today. Like we'd like to think that it's like a democracy, but the truth is it's not a true democracy, because every person has more or less voting power based on their influence that they have. So it's not a matter of you, like for instance, if it was PewDiePie versus me, and we both supported different politicians, and we went to the voting offices and we both made videos, he would have way more voting power in the direction of the opponent of mine, because he has a much larger audience that he could reach with the sentiment that you should vote that way. So by proxy, he has more voting power than me. Therefore, it is not really a democracy, because the people that are giving their vote to him are fans that think by giving him their vote, because they trust him, that he's going to take them in the right direction. So they're not going to do the research. They're not going to do the digging or anything like that. They're just going to trust him. Just like a lot of my audience is going to just trust me. It's gamed.
The system is gamed already.
100% has been for a long time, but now it's just becoming brutally apparent, because everything's online. It's not behind closed doors anymore. It's like everybody can see every one of these things happening in real time.
There was an interesting...
What?
Sorry. There's an interesting talk I saw. I've been watching this AI and big data conference in Toronto. I was going to go, but then I wimped out because there were people. But I watched the live streams, and Ernst & Young was talking about the future of the web. And they were saying how they were talking about this Web3 stuff, and how we've got to stop. We've got to get beyond the idea of these NFTs and the whole crypto crap and all that stuff, and start looking at the fact that the push for this is about trying to decentralize the web again. Because the reality is, we started with an incredibly decentralized internet, which is now sort of globbed all together into these massive corporations. And now the hope is, with this Web3 stuff, that we will then be able to now, separate it back out again. But of course, until another company figures out how to suck it all back together again. But I like the idea of that for sure. Just an aside that doesn't relate to this at all, that I thought was cool as well, was they're hiring architects, and they're hiring interior designers and artists now for their business development, because of all of this new Web3 stuff, and the VR, the metaverse stuff. So along with all of their programmers, they're hiring all these people, because they've got to eventually they're going to have to make their immersive sites look cool. So they're hiring. I just thought it's kind of neat. There's a whole other group of people getting brought in, but at the same time, if it's just the same corporations taking control of it the way it has before, like Facebook, obviously well ahead with Meta. Are
they
the same situation? Well,
that's one of our topics too.
They're throwing a lot of money at it.
They lost $10 billion on their metaverse
like
project. Yeah, but he's like, they're talking about dumping more. There's talk about.
What do you mean they've lost it though? Like, have they launched Meta, like a metaverse yet? Is that, or what's the?
I think it's still like internal testing and stuff, but yeah, they're dumping hardcore money into it.
It is publicly available. Like, I can go into the metaverse with my Meta Quest 2 headset.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
so it is now the demo that they gave of like shopping and Amazon and stuff and grocery shopping. That's not there yet.
It's all going to be on your phone for the time being, anyways, right? No one's going to be walking around doing shopping with their headsets on. The majority of people are still going to be
until VR tech and stuff is as easy as putting on a set of spectacles. There's no way it's going to have widespread adoption. I'm not going to want to wear that fucking helmet to interact with. It's got to be easy. You're not making it easy. You're not reducing friction by introducing a Ready Player One situation.
Well, it has to be like VR chat, right? Where you can use it from a browser, or use it from a phone, or use it from.
I think it's all going to be like that.
Cross interaction for sure. It has to be
for sure.
Yeah, it won't get adoption otherwise.
But how does that change video? So there you go. So you talk about different platforms. Like, so why is anyone going to? Are people going to want to watch when they watch this kind of stuff in the future? Again, just trying to jump ahead as to where we're going to go with this stuff.
Right.
Right now we're debating how we can make a living doing, YouTube or Twitch or whatever. But surely there's a whole other type of metaverse thing happening in the future. How do
like,
you,
what's the next
do
big thing?
How do you do video chats in that? Are people going to want to walk around my freaking
Here's the problem that I think,
how does it work?
Here's the problem that I think that you run into is, like, before you used to be able to just come up with something. You used to be able to just say, oh, I got a cool idea, and it's really hard to implement because, you know, the technology has to be designed by me. I can patent it. I can protect it. I can do this. And then you become the next big thing. Everybody pays you licensing fees and you make all the money in the world and you're super rich, right? And you created the next big thing. The problem is so many technologies have stacked on top of each other, emerged now that anybody can be a software developer. It's not a niche thing anymore. Anybody can be a content creator. It's not a niche thing anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. There's, like, your personality will dictate how successful you could potentially be as a content creator because that's the one unique thing you bring to the table. However,
the barrier to entry is so low.
It's so low now that like you're competing with everybody. And the truth is you can't make a living off of something if everybody can do it. If everybody can do it, then everybody would do it. If they knew they could make a living and there was a net positive and everybody could make a net positive, they do it. But just remember, it's all wealth transfer. So if somebody wants to do something that makes them a lot of money, that means it has to take a lot of money from other people. Like, there's no way for everybody to get rich. It's not like if we all became live streamers and live stream 24/7 tomorrow, we'd all have 0 viewers, right?
Yeah, right.
So which is what we're getting into now. Right, that's the problem we're getting.
That's the direction we're headed. However, this is where it gets a little bit crazy. Is you have all these new streamers, right? They come online every single day, and the platforms get a cut of whatever they make. So it doesn't matter if it's 100,000 streamers making $1 or one streamer making 100,000. They don't care. They're getting their money no matter what. But those content creators care because their ability to make money is directly proportionate to the number of people that they can get to watch them for a period of time. And if they have to divide that concentration amongst a bunch of other people, the platform doesn't get affected by that. The platform gains. Like even if one person watches 100 streams a day and goes between all those streams and gives an equal amount to all those people, the platform still makes just as much as if they were watching one. It's just divided up more, right? But from the creator standpoint, they're like, oh crap, I have less viewers because every time I stream, a new content creator comes along that's just a little bit better than me, or even just different. It doesn't have to be better, just different. Comes along and people are like, well, I want to try something new. You raid them, they see them, they attach to them, and then they stop showing up at your stream. This happens all the time. I still raid people because I think it's an amazing thing to share audiences, and people do it to me too, right? Everybody's raiding everybody, and I think it's great. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you have to realize in your head that from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. It's why a lot of big creators, you'll notice, only raid a very specific group of people that they actually are involved with or profit from. Because if I just say, hey, I'm going to go raid a random person with 500 people, and then the next stream I do, I have 100 less people because those 100 people decided to watch the other person I just raided who streams at the same time I do. And of those 100 could be 50% of the people that actively contributed to my channel that now contribute to that channel instead. And that does happen. That's something that really does happen. So there is, whether you want competition or not, there is competition just implied in this business. The other thing that you run into the problem with is there are so many shortcuts that are built into the system that the platforms encourage. Like the platforms want you to do, which then makes it really, really difficult for anybody that wants to be morally or just be moral at all in this situation. It puts them at a huge disadvantage. Like, for instance, if I'm a live streamer and I give something away on every live stream, I will grow faster. Doesn't matter if I'm better, doesn't matter if I'm worse, doesn't matter if I'm interesting. If I give away a 3D printer every single time I stream, my audience is going to grow exponentially fast. Because people are going to discover me, they're going to enter, a couple people are going to win a printer, they're going to see somebody else win a printer, they're going to go tell their friends, they're going to get another entry by inviting their friends to the platform, so now they have a better chance of winning the printer. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So channels that give away stuff grow disproportionately faster than channels that don't give away anything. And so that is something that's hugely encouraged. Like if you watch any course on how to become a live streamer, oh, Right From My Bed said, what's wrong with that? No, nothing's wrong with that. The point being, though, is it does mean that the creator that you're watching is actually being puppeteered a little bit by the company that's giving away those products. Like they are, whether they say it or not, they have to be like, and I'm no different. Like if I'm giving away, a new Rodecaster Pro every stream, I'm not going to be honest when their competitor comes out with a better product and be like, oh yeah, no, that product actually has better features and works better than this, because I'm literally working for them and giving their product away in exchange for me driving you to buy their products.
Right.
So giveaways are never free. That's the thing, is nothing's free. You have to go into this business and say nothing is free. If somebody is giving something away, it's because they have some kind of a relationship with a company, or if they're funding it themselves, which once they get to a certain point, you can self-fund your own giveaways. They're still giving away the product for the purpose of bringing more people into the channel that want to watch the channel, not necessarily for its content, but because there's a chance to win, which artificially inflates their numbers, which gives them more clout and gives them more influence, and they become visible to people that normally wouldn't watch them, just because of all the additional people attached.
And this is TV. I mean, this is what TV's been doing for on a much smaller scale, has been doing it for decades now, right? So I mean, I do feel like there's a huge pain point here. Like we're at a point now where I'm hearing this more and more about streamers struggling to figure out how they can make a living with this stuff. And so I start thinking like, well, there must be opportunities. You know what I mean? There must be opportunities here. There's got to be a place. There's going to be someone that's going to come up with a solution.
There is. I mean, look, I've harped on this quite a bit. Like, okay, you're never going to blow up just doing like gaming streams.
It's not what everyone else is doing gaming streams.
Yeah, unless you are outrageously good, like in a multiplayer setting, or doing speed runs or whatever, like stuff like that, some sort of outrageous skill,
or attaching yourself to larger streamers through drama if they don't do it.
Oh my god, the drama!
Don't do that.
That's the biggest one, unfortunately.
It has to be other stuff, like the reason like my PC building for Puget Systems grew very quickly. Like I got our channel partnered like within a few months or something.
I was like rating you guys constantly
because I was the only one doing it regularly. Yeah. Like it was something unique and different. And even still, nobody's doing it like I used to. Everybody's got a fucking team, and you got
Moist Critical has just announced a partnership with a PC company, and they are going to build and.
He's a part owner in Starforge.
Yep. That's Starforge Systems. It's fun. I was on the backside. I was typing out like what they're charging versus what those parts would cost, and they're not bad.
Yeah.
The higher you go up, the more expensive of a PC you're buying from them, though, the fatter their chunk out of it is. It's insane. They're cheap ones. They're not making any money off of those. But they're more expensive ones. Like I punched in their second level creator one, I think, or is it their regular one? The $33.99 one. They're making about $700 off of that.
And people are buying them so they can buy, they can buy it off Most Critical too, right?
Right.
Part of it,
But it's got to.
By the way, does anyone know what they raised for GimpyG? Because Moist had a whole thing
just shy of $9,000, I think. Was that something else?
I know that when Chris and I did the charity stream for him, I think we raised his GoFundMe up over a little over $8,000, and it's over 30 now. So it's got
nice.
He had to have raised.
But they had a separate thing that was at 30 the last time I looked at.
Nice.
Oh, they did a completely different GoFundMe for the
Moist did. What about a GoFundMe? But it was like a Moist Critical did a charity stream.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Like if you go to Twitter and you go to GimpyG's GoFundMe.
Oh, it's 47K. There you go.
Oh, it's even 47K now?
Holy crap.
That's like 10K more than yesterday. Like when I tweeted out, go help this, it was at 32K.
GimpyG, sort this out for us. What was the deal?
Oh, he's at 32. Never mind. 32,488 is what he's at on his GoFundMe right now. Where did somebody see 40,000?
In addition to 47 that was raised by Moist.
Oh my god. Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I asked him and I didn't get an answer back yet from Gimpy if it was separate or not, because I don't know if he even knew.
Gimpy's in the chat. He says 47K. That's freaking awesome, Gimpy.
So
he's amazing.
So if you do that compared to, so that's 47. Hold on here, I'm gonna do some math here. So
that's separate from his GoFundMe.
So 32 plus, what was it, 40 how much?
47.
47. So that puts him in, his goal originally was 50,000 on the GoFundMe. He's at just shy of 80,000.
That's amazing.
That's crazy, dude. Gimpy,
but that's again
that just gets him back. Well done, though.
Like I can't think of it happening to a better person. Like,
yeah, man.
No, not at all, dude.
I'm thrilled. And just because they've got that money now doesn't mean people should stop, because it's expensive living the Gimpy.
No, and I think he lost what he said, like $100,000 or something worth of stuff. That's just to get him back to where he started. Like that's not even,
Have you seen how expensive those freaking vans are? It's insane,
stupid, dude.
It's insane.
stupid how much medical stuff is.
But the point being is Moist Critical has, I guess he's built an audience over a long period of time. He seems he seems smart. He seems funny. He's got a great deadpan delivery and all. But I, as an old man, I struggle with how this level of fame happened. But I also love seeing a kid who's willing to give back like that. But at the same time, even the giving back, it's another form of promoting himself. I mean, obviously, I'm not to say that I'm not belittling what he's done. I think it's great. But I love the idea that it's also a form of marketing. If you can if you can help people and use that as marketing, I guess Mr. Beast's done that as a
Mr. Beast's like the king of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's great. It's better than watching those idiots run around just,
Well, look what Charlie does. Like, look, so if you look at Moist Critical's site, because I watch a lot of his stuff. Like, as a matter of fact, I kind of feel bad because a lot of the videos that I watch on his channel, I don't actually go watch from the original creator that he's covering. And most of his videos that he does, most of his live streams are responding to other people's videos and narrating other people's videos.
Yeah.
So he is what you'd consider kind of like the old style reply girl, but he actually adds something to it, whereas they didn't. They'd just be like,
his commentaries. His commentaries are spectacular.
It's gold.
Like
it's gold.
He's got this like deadpan delivery that he's just
He's one of the very few people that I actually give like a complete pass on, that he's adding value to the content. Like I do believe he is operating well within fair use. And the other thing is, I do genuinely believe that every single one of these things he's touching on, he's bringing more attention to their channel and getting them more views, because anytime he talks about something, you see a spike to that, even if it's drama. You'll see a spike to the views on that person's channel. So people are interested in who he's talking about. So they are going and seeking them out, and it's giving them more views and giving them more attention. So it's not parasitic as most of the reply channels are, right? When you have
and he's smart to diversify too, because I think that it's only going to take one drama gone wrong, and he's got a whole team of people to support now too.
Yeah, and he's got the right people. That's the other thing too. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And he's got a lot of insiders at YouTube, Twitch, all these platforms. He has a lot of clout with other streamers, other big streamers that protect each other. So like if he got banned from Twitch, and this has happened before, I know for a fact he's been banned before. And he'll get banned, and within 24 hours or even a couple hours, he's unbanned again. And it's because he has enough influence himself from his audience and everybody else that he can get the attention of the higher ups at YouTube like that, at Twitch like that. And
what does he get banned for? What sort of stuff are they banning him for?
People will just mass report something that he says or something that he does, and then what the system will do is it'll just automatically punt him, because once it meets this is the thing. So this is where it gets weird with like platforms like Twitch and YouTube, is the auto report system. Once you get to a certain threshold of the same report for the same video, the automated system, just as a safeguard to YouTube, will block that channel or block that content or demonetize that content before a human engages. Because they don't know how long it'll take for a human to engage, because so many things are going on. So they play it safe, right? They're like better safe than sorry. So you have these huge roaming mobs of people and bots and stuff that just go mass report channels to get them taken down like instantly.
Right.
But here's
could you imagine that in the metaverse? These huge roaming bands of like just people who are coming to your metaverse place to like protest and report your metaverse.
And they're all like Karen avatars with like the haircut.
It's kind of neat,
writing
though.
A note.
Yeah.
And put them on you.
Yeah,
it's
like an angry crowd
coming over the horizon.
Pitchforks and torches.
Dude, that will be the future. It'll be like something straight out of Braveheart, right? It'll be like, you cannot take our freedom, and all the Karen. It'll just be Karen heads on all the like the British guys or whatever coming in there to kill them.
Starts jigging out because like there's too many people, so it's like
we're crashing. There's too many people.
So
oh, man.
Here's what happens on these platforms though. And again, being a larger creator back in the day, I got to know a lot of the people at these platforms. I have lots of friends that work at Google, for instance, in the YouTube department. And the information that they've given me has been invaluable over the years as to how, like, because I ask them questions all the time, like, how the hell is this happening? Like, where's the pattern? This seems seemingly random. And just like with like the Keebler elves, nobody has the full recipe, right? Anybody that works at YouTube does not. If they say they know the whole system, they do not. That system is so heavily segmented on purpose inside so that the employees themselves can't game the system. And so it's like everybody has a little piece of the recipe, and the recipe is constantly evolving and changing. But the one thing that I do know for a fact is if you get your channel blocked too many times and they're false positives, so like you get banned 3, 4, 5 times over the course of your channel and a human reviews it and they reinstate your channel, what they do is they add you to a list that requires human review. And no matter how many times the bots report your channel, it will not take down the channel. It will not take down the video. It will not demonetize it. It will make sure that a human looks at it. And that's why you see some of these big channels can't be taken down anymore by just mass reporting. But little channels can. Little channels, all you have to do is if somebody's got like 5 viewers on Twitch, if you can get, 10 people to go report the channel within like a 10-minute radius, it'll just be like, oh, this channel is suspended for blah, blah, blah. And they'll have to fight an uphill battle to get it back.
So it's like a denial of service,
basically. That's exactly what it is. It's a denial of service attack using social engineering, right? But if you keep banning that channel and you keep attacking that channel, you will eventually get them put on a list where you can report them for anything and nothing's going to happen until a human has time to review it, which in most cases, a human doesn't have time to review it. So it ends up just getting thrown into the ether and nothing ever happens. So that's why you have some of these big channels, like for instance, back in the day, Drama Alert, break every TOS. Every video is of breaking every TOS, attacking other people on the platform, saying shit that's banned on the platform over and over, but the videos wouldn't get demonetized. They wouldn't get taken down. And it's because that channel got so mass reported so many times by so many botnets that it was basically just bulletproof at the end of the day. Like there's nothing like short of you calling somebody, your friend up at YouTube and being like, hey, go look at this directly and take some action. And even then they had very little that they could do because it'd be flagged on the system, false reporting. And they'd be like, okay, they're going to go into this thinking it's another false report because it most likely is, which means they're not going to be in a frame of mind to make an objective decision. Because they don't want to be the ones that make the call to get a huge channel ban that's a big revenue generator for the platform when the consensus of the 50,000 other employees before them was that it was a false positive, right? They don't want to be, because then it makes it look like they weren't doing their research if they get anything wrong. So they're going to err on the side of safety and just be like, give it a pass. And so you run into these problems with these platforms where you have the chosen, right? You have the people that grow to a level where they're not affiliates, they're partners, and they're not just partners, they have partner managers. So they have physical people inside of the company that can handle things and communicate with them on a short-term basis. Those people are relatively protected and can recover from almost anything. The little guys that are just starting out, by little guys, I mean, you could even be 2 years on the platform and have 50,000 followers and YouTube still wouldn't put you in a bucket.
You're still a little. Yeah,
you're still little as far as the platform's concerned. And that little bucket keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger over time because so many people become streamers, and every single person that becomes a streamer or a content creator is consuming less content themselves. So you're shifting potential viewers over to content creators. So it's kind of like a double whammy, because not only do you have one less viewer for your content, you also have one more piece of content or multiple pieces of content that other people could be viewing that wasn't there before. So as the system makes this shift, what inevitably happens with any industry, doesn't matter what it is, it could be virtual, it could be a physical product, but what's going to happen is as soon as everybody can do it, as soon as everybody can get that, do it, then no one person is going to be unique anymore. It's going to blur those lines, right? You're going to get to the point where it's like, if everybody can stream game content, the only way that you survive is either you're an old timer that has loyalty, right? You have all these viewers that have been with you for, through their entire childhood and they're just ride or die, right? That's going to be, but you're not going to grow anymore, because the people that would come in and help you grow, unfortunately, are finding the new creators that are coming online way, way faster than they're finding you, because every day 10,000 new creators are popping up with content that you want to find, and you're just one person. So your odds of that person organically finding you on their first time out is relatively low unless you already have that cloud established. So for new people starting, it just gets perpetually harder and harder and harder and harder. So then you have to figure out, how do you separate them? Like when you get to the point where a market is completely saturated, then you have to act, right? You have to implement some new rules and some new guidelines that basically separate those groups out so that you now have a harder to attain bucket. Right. Because if you don't have that little minority bucket, then, and it's just spread out amongst everybody, then you got a little bit of a problem with your revenue stream coming in being predictable. Because what happens if 50% of those content creators just stop making content because they have a day job, or they stop making content because of a medical problem or something like that? They just disengage. They are far more likely to do that than the person like PewDiePie, who makes like videos every single day for like the last 10 years and has this established set of revenue and users, and they know what to expect from them. So it's way better for them to bet on somebody who's super stable that brings in that revenue versus like 10,000 random channels that people could just take or leave.
Which is why they like the consistency, why they like people, having a schedule and doing their streams for as long as they say they're going to and when they're going to.
And that plays a big
what's interesting
role.
though, I'm seeing with the kids is that they all start off wanting to be Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers or whatever, but they very, very quickly just become consumers.
Yep. I talk about that with the girls all the time.
Yeah, they just don't.
Or especially the younger one now, but yeah. Oh, like they put so much importance on like, oh, you have oh, you don't have like 4 million followers, like you're dumb as shit, or like, oh man, I want to be like this, and it's like, well, then why aren't you posting your I don't know, I'm gonna get made fun of. It's like,
it's a class.
They all get made fun. Like you either do it or you don't. Like you're not gonna like grow and have followers and like be big unless you post videos. And they're like, oh, but all my videos are like so bad and cringy and gross and blah blah blah. And I'm like, go scroll back to fucking Charlie D'Amelio's first dozen videos. Like I can guarantee they're not that great.
Appearance. I mean,
you know,
yeah, I mean that's
like,
the nature.
Everybody sucks at the beginning. Everybody starts with 0. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's why. Look, that's what I always find this. Like, I feel sorry for young movie stars because they get cast in a big movie, and all of a sudden, all of their acting mistakes are going to be there for life. For the rest of civilization, there will be Harry Potter is going to be Harry Potter,
right? Or Bieber catching shit still for stuff he did when he was like 13. You know, and it's
plus
like
more variety, right? They have a lot bigger pool to pick from. It, you know, back in the day, it might have been that there's only one Rodney McKay character. Like that is the character, that is the guy you have to cast in that role. But when you have more people getting into acting because they're transitioning from like YouTube, for instance, into like legitimate like theatrical work and vice versa, they're going both directions, right? It's a big bag. When you have that now, it's like when they're sitting down and casting a movie, it's not a list of 3 people, it's a list of 300 or 3,000 people that can play the role. And
that happened with reality television. That happened with reality television as well. When reality television happened, all of a sudden I'd go in for auditions for a series and I'd be sitting in a room with like a bunch of reality stars. I'm like, okay.
That's weird.
I mean, and they'd get them. They'd get them. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Because of the audience is what they were looking for. I mean, that's definitely changed since, for sure. But okay, let me ask you this. I listen to podcasts all the time now.
Sure.
Whenever I walk the dog, whenever I got any spare time, generally I've got something in my ear, either entertaining me or teaching me something. That's a format that is independent, could be independent of platforms, couldn't it?
How would they find you though? Because you need the platform of a search engine to find you. So you're still dependent on the search engine to categorize you high enough that somebody can find you.
And the hosting and the blah, blah,
but once you've subscribed though, like once you've got your subscribers, it doesn't matter where they get them from, where they get the podcast from.
You run into this big problem of brand loyalty I should say platform loyalty. And this is how I know this is the fact of the matter.
Or is it platform empathy, platform apathy, where you just can't be bothered to leave the platform?
True. No, that's true. Laziness plays a huge part into it.
Your podcast gets banned on Apple Podcasts, you're probably fucked. Because I don't want to go download Stitcher or whatever and listen to your podcast because all the rest of the stuff I listen to is already on Apple Podcasts. So it's like, well, I'm sorry, but see ya.
So check this out. I have 800. I have 800 and last I checked, I think 840,000 subscribers on YouTube. So
867 it says.
Okay, so 800. Wow, it actually went up. I'm surprised. So 867,000 subscribers on YouTube. You know how many subscribers I have on Twitch after for 5 years consistently on YouTube? Say even when I was making videos on YouTube. But
I want to make a distinction because there's a difference between subs on YouTube and subs on Twitch.
No, followers.
So followers on Twitch equates to subs on YouTube.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
I just wanted for clarity.
You're not paying to follow.
No money is involved here. It is literally just you saying that you want to be notified if new content comes out from this person. A follow on Twitch is a sub on YouTube. Okay. Because a sub on Twitch costs money. It's the same as being a member on YouTube. I know we need to create like this lexicon that converts.
I don't know why they just didn't follow it.
It's just stupid, man. They all want to be their own. It's the same reason why NordVPN calls it like they don't call it WireGuard. They call it Nord Links, even though it's the same exact damn thing, because they want people to be like, oh, they have that faster VPN.
I would say you have 10%. 10% of your followers are on Twitch.
So 10% is not quite right, because about 20% of the people that are on my Twitch don't even know I have a YouTube channel.
Whoa, it's a totally
there
separate.
Are people just for
they're completely different. Yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how different the audience.
But here's what's crazy: is when I started my Twitch channel, I went over and created video after video after video. Where in the video, and this is before YouTube put a blanket ban on it. Now, if you do this, they'll delete your video and they'll flag your channel. But you're not allowed to say, like, you probably noticed videos back in the day be like, oh, we're going to be over streaming on Twitch. Come on over, blah, blah, blah. You used to be able to say that in videos and people said it all the time. Now you rarely see it because it's against TOS. If you attempt to drive somebody to another competing platform through a link in your description, like it has to be obvious though, like specifically go here and follow or go here and stuff. Or in your video, you say specifically, I'm going to be over on a competing platform. Come watch me over there. That's a big no-no. Like you can actually get flagged for that and the video will get deleted. So people used to do that all the time before the rule came into play, and I did too. I was like, hey guys, come, I'm grandfathered in on those videos. I'd be like, hey guys, I'm over on Twitch now, and I do this whole stream over there. Hey, come on over here and watch me. I did that in probably 50 plus videos over the course of my first 2 years on Twitch, and I maybe got 20,000 people to come over from YouTube, maybe. And over the course of the next couple of years, maybe another 20,000.
Platform to learn. It's like another, that's the problem. Is like, I resisted Twitch for so long because I was just like, I don't want to have to learn another. I still don't. To be honest,
people don't want to create another account too. That's the other thing is people, and you don't even have to create an account, but people want to chat, and they're like, oh, well, when you stream on YouTube, I can chat because I already have the account because of my Gmail. But on Twitch, I got to create an account, verify email, and do this and do that. And they're just like, I can't be bothered, and I don't want to watch the stream unless I can interact. So, or they just don't like the platform. That's the other thing. You know how many people I get messages from just on Twitter publicly? They're like, why do you even stream on that shitty platform, Twitch? They banned my favorite streamer 6 months ago. I'd never go there. I'm never going to watch their stream again because they banned somebody they liked. And then I'll be like, okay, well, what about YouTube? I stream on YouTube also. Oh, fuck YouTube. I only stream on Twitch because YouTube treats their content creators so terribly. I will never use their platform. So you have these people that solidify loyalty to a platform because, one, they already have bits there. They already earned, you know, rewards and subscribe terms and everything. That doesn't translate to the new platform. So when they go to the new platform, they don't have all these like little jewelries and goals and stuff and like Xbox Live achievements, right? They don't have that stuff. They're starting fresh when they go somewhere else, and they don't want to do that if they can watch you on another platform. And then the thing is like, you're okay, well, why don't they come over and watch you if you're only on that platform? Because they can't even watch you on this. Why don't they go to the other one, even if they know about you? It's because they can already find somebody else that's on the platform that they like, that they can get that level of interaction with, who's just a completely different person. Like
and that's it. It's the, I guess that's what these platforms provide, is an easy way into content. Like once you're in, you've got access to all.
YouTube will show you other people because they're now using AI to analyze like the speech to text, and they're going through and finding other people that are like you. Like now they're doing like personality profiling, where I'll see stuff pop up in my stream that I'm like, wait a second, that guy sure looks a lot like another guy I watch. Man, that guy looks a lot like Tom Scott. And I'll click on it and I'll be like, oh, that isn't Tom Scott. That's the difference.
Absolutely.
That's like poor people Tom Scott. And
I get recommended stuff all the time, and it's fantastic because I go like, oh yeah, I love watching guys make stuff. And then you're like what DIY perks or whatever the hell it's called.
I love DIY
or
perks.
Strange, you know, you get like, or strange parts, and then it'll recommend other like cool, quirky, around the world tech stuff. I mean, you know, it's amazing. Exactly. But this, as you say, that's not helping those big names because it's you're being pulled away. There's only so many hours in the day that we have to watch this stuff. You know?
Yeah, and it's a platforms game right now. Like the like it's definitely like a seller's market from YouTube's perspective, because they have an unlimited amount of content, like more content than they've ever had. They have more diversity than they've ever had. They have the best. Their algorithm is improved as far as like matching people with the content they think that they're most likely to watch for the longest period of the time and engage on. The algorithm has gotten so good at doing that they're like, well, we don't have to focus so much on making individual content creators happy. We need to focus on just onboarding as many content creators as humanly possible for the diversity. And then that also protects them, because if you're one giant creator like PewDiePie and you leave the platform, you beat the ever living snot out of it if you're, you know, one of 10 people that make 90% of the revenue for that platform. But if it's 100 million people that make the total revenue for the platform, equally divided amongst them all, they can lose huge swaths of people, and it won't even make a difference. They can just go
in a way,
grab another group.
In a way, they're going to want those 10K.
They will, 100%,
because they're the ones that are going to probably bring. You've got a very niche market. You've got specific, you've got specific people. You've got a reasonable number, and if it all goes wrong, who cares? There's no. It's like a little, then you're gone. You know what I mean?
My recommended feed, my recommended feed used to almost exclusively just show big guys. Like I'd go in there and it'd be like, oh, these channels have like 1 million plus subscribers, 500,000 plus subscribers. And that would be about all that was in there. Now in my recommended feed, I see at least 20% of my recommended feed video would be in people that I've never seen before.
Yeah, I see a lot of new stuff.
That are doing similar things to what I was already watching. Like I watch This Old Tony all the time, and I love This Old Tony, but they keep unsubscribing me from him. Like I don't see something from This Old Tony for like a month. I go look and I'm unsubscribed from his channel. I even have a little widget that goes through and does the comparison, and every day I get unsubscribed from a couple more channels. YouTube swears that they're not the ones doing it, but I know that they are. I can see it with my own eyes. They'll unsub me from channels that don't create regular content so that they free up more spaces to put new content in there from people that are making content much more frequently. They get less views. So what'll happen is I saw this guy that was like just like This Old Tony, same type of thumbnail where it was like hands. I thought it was This Old Tony, and I clicked on it, and it was a new guy I'd never seen before. The video had like 400,000 views, and I'm like, how did I not see a guy that has 400,000 views on a video? So I click on him to go sub to his channel. He has 12,000 subscribers. That's it. And he has a video with like 500,000 views. So I looked at his video from the day before. It only had 10,000 views. Day before, 5,000 views. He just had one breakout video where the YouTube algorithm was like, oh, everybody that's watching This Old Tony, he hasn't created content in a little while. So let's take this one that's like pulling high with This Old Tony viewers and let's spam this video into the recommended feed. Then people watch it and be like, oh, I like this guy too. Sub to him. And now people are more willing to come back and watch more regular content instead of just waiting for This Old Tony to drop a video. So basically the platforms game us all against each other. And that's, you know, and that's by design, right? I mean, if you were in Hollywood and you were just guaranteed employment without having to go audition and be better than the other guy,
everyone would be in Hollywood.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, and the content would suck, right? Like you want people to show their best. Like you want to get the person who can do the absolute best, and if not the absolute best, you want him just to be Tom Cruise because he just gets the draw, right? It's like you either want him for the name, which again, to get that name, they had to do something, right? Like even if they're not at their prime, like for instance, I guess a good one would be Marlon Brando and oh god, what was that? Shutter Island? Was that it? The really bad movie. I think it was Marlon Brando.
Oh no, Island of Dr. Moreau.
That's it, Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
And it was like a terrible movie. His role was terrible. It was the worst acting he's ever done in his entire career. They just wanted the name because the name would sell the movie. That was it. They're like, if we can just prop this guy up against the stick and have him groan, it will be enough to sell this movie because we can put him front and center.
If only they could. The problem was he actually had opinions and wanted to, and was messing with them the whole time. Like he just sounds like he just enjoyed fucking.
I heard that was like one. That was who else was it? Was it Val Kilmer that was in that one?
Val Kilmer, yeah.
I think it was Val Kilmer that said that he like it was a nightmare. Like
there's this fantastic film about the making of that film. I don't remember the name of it, but I've seen it. Basically, the director who the director who was fired from the show snuck back on set as one of the animals on the Island of Dr. Moreau as like a background performer.
Whoa. Yeah. And nobody noticed?
Literally to see what was going on. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Didn't notice it. The guy's crazy. The guy's like, he's cool, but he's like totally crazy. Like
there's gotta just be some crazy people.
Definitely look that up. If you could find something that's a fun one to watch. Cause it's just like, you're like, oh my God, I'm convinced that the whole film industry is just about lightning in a bottle. Like I think there's everyone will tell you this is how it is. This is what you do. These are the numbers. These are this. These are that. I just think it's a freaking lottery.
Did you see what Bruce Willis did? So Bruce Willis. Now I love Bruce Willis. I love him as an actor. I don't know how he is in real life. I couldn't tell you one way or another. But I like his acting.
Really sick.
Like I like his
really
acting.
Sick.
Well, he's got like some aphasia, I think is what they diagnosed him with, where he can't like remember things and he gets confused very easily, and his short-term memory is completely
unreliable. They're still farming him out to movies, though.
Here's what's interesting about it is I noticed, this is something I just noticed because I'm cruising Netflix, Hulu, every platform I'm on, there's at least 4 or 5 new Bruce Willis movies I've never heard of. And I'm like, okay, so I heard he's sick, right? So I'm like, why is he in 500,000 movies now when the dude used to be in like one blockbuster a year, right? I went, look, 30 some movies in the last year and a half. He's been and I'm not talking like an add-in. I'm talking he's the main character in like 30 plus like made for TV movies, like on Netflix stream.
Terrible.
All terrible reviews, all 3 stars or less.
And I say that as someone who does a lot of terrible movies.
Yeah, and I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, holy shit, how did he go from being like the guy every year that's like the blockbuster? And what they're doing is they realize, or I should say he realizes rather, that he has got a short period of time, right? But
does he realize? My concern is that his people are farming him out, and he's not even making sense.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Like they're wringing him out. Like, let's get as much as we possibly can out of this guy before he's unusable.
And that's what I was thinking is like, yeah, so now what they're doing is they're like, listen, we know his performances are going to suck, but his name alone has so much clout with that generation that grew up with him that we can literally just like prop him up on a stick and have him just read shit and people will watch the movie even if it's terrible. And so they signed him to this like crazy contract, but I couldn't believe it. I went to IMDb. I think it was 30 plus movies that he was in within a year and a half. And I have never heard of anybody, even as an extra, being in that many movies in that period of time. And you could tell because like every performance was the same. It wasn't like different accents. It wasn't like him trying different things. It was just complete deadpan, read off the script, like go from job A to job B to job C every day. And I couldn't believe it, but I'm like, that's what they do, right? It's like when you are no longer able to do the thing that people remembered you for doing, then you use the name to sell it for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I feel like they did with them. And I feel like YouTubers do the same thing. I think we get to our expiration dates where it's like we're just getting, too old. The generation that grew up with us is getting old and moving on, or even getting old and dying at some point, right? When if we're still doing this in our like 60s and 70s. And that's going to move on. And it's like, you're just going to have to realize at a certain point.
I'm
it's
almost
like
there.
Yeah,
I'm almost there.
You have to do everything you can to make as much money as you possibly can so that you can then stop being the actor. You can afford to be the director or the producer, or you can now be the guy behind the camera. Or as in YouTube's case, look at Philip DeFranco or look at Linus. Linus is a great example. So look at Linus. I know every time I say Linus, Ox is like, I want to see a fight. I want to see an internet boxing match between Linus, the black belt, and AuxxZillary.
Black belt. Yeah, okay.
Wait, you kidding me?
No, I feel
I don't know, man. I don't know.
that fight.
I've said that stuff enough.
Linus wouldn't stand a chance. He'd disappear into his beard, and you'd never see him again.
No, but the thing is, like with Linus, is he went from being the guy that was always in front of the camera to now he's the least in front of the camera guy at the entire company. Like if you look at their content, they make like 5 videos a day across their channels.
Smart thing to do.
And and that's what you do.
Because it's similar to it's similar to the relying too much on one platform.
Exactly.
Like his whole company can't rely on him being the face forever.
Well, look at
he's got to step away eventually.
On Stargate. Richard Dean Anderson gets brought in to do SG-1. As the show continues and becomes more and more successful, he's in less and less of the shows.
Yep.
He does less and less work in the week to do the stuff because he can afford to do that. Then he shows up, launches, he throws a bottle of champagne through a Stargate at the beginning of Atlantis. And that, so that's producers going like, we want his fame to launch other things that don't require him all the time.
And he probably got paid more for throwing that champagn bottle through the damn ring than he did for any other episode.
He did for his first season of SG-1. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's it. Although I'm sure he was, he's probably doing pretty good because he was, MacGyver was that was the money baby, I think, for him.
Oh, definitely. And even the Stargate franchise leaned into MacGyver hard.
Oh, big time.
With all the jokes and callbacks. I love it.
I am so sorry, but I have been discovered. So I'm going to, I've got to pop up and do some stuff. If I can, I'll come back if I can, but I think probably I'm going to end up ordering sushi for 10 kids who just dropped by.
10 kids. You got 10 kids who want to eat sushi? That's amazing.
That's wild, man.
That's freaking mind blowing.
I was like, what about little burgers? That's a lot of fucking cheaper. What the fuck? Sushi for 10 kids?
I once bought 100 chicken McNuggets for a New Year's party that the teenager was throwing, and I'm like, man, this is a lot. That's a lot of nuggets. Apparently, it cost me like $30, and it took them like 5 minutes. Like it was not even a big deal. I thought 100 nuggets was like outrageous. I thought I was making them a trouble. I called them even. I go, hey man, I'm gonna come in there and I want 100 nuggets. Is that gonna be weird? And they're like, bro,
100
come in. Like we'll have them ready. No big deal. I'm like, what? He goes, it happens all the time. Oh, okay.
Well, that's like when we go to Timmy Ho's, eh? So Timmy Ho's, the coffee place here. You got to call in advance, eh? Otherwise, you can't just walk in and order like 20 coffees. What are you nuts? We got to get the jug. They build a jug, and they, All right, look, I do hope I can pop back in, but if I can't, I will say thank you. And
no, dude, it was awesome having you pop in like that. That was amazing. Made our week, man.
And then I don't know what my deal is coming up, but I'm going to North Bay this week.
Ooh.
Or next week. I got to do some filming in North Bay. I don't even know where North Bay is.
Look at this guy getting work left and right now.
4 hours drive outside of Toronto.
Oh, well, just make sure they're not Bruce Willis in you, man. Keep an eye on them. If they start, if your manager's got you on 30 movies simultaneously.
Are you kidding? Shane's been whoring me out for years. Anyways, lots of love, guys, and to everyone.
All right, take it easy, boss. We'll see you next time.
Cheers. Talk soon.
God, I love it when he stops by. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That was just awesome. Okay, now your face is like in 2 different segments. I have to readjust here. Hold on.
It's like hold on. Let me see if I can line it up right. It's slow mode, so I gotta.
You gotta go the other way.
Come on.
Gotta go the other way.
Oh, the other way.
Yeah, go that way.
Oh, okay.
No, a little more. Stop. Right there.
It
right
takes
there.
2.
No, go back. right, a little more right there. Now turn your head the other direction. There, back a little bit, just a little bit more, a little tiny bit more. Oh, almost perfect. Okay, move your head right there, right there. Pause. There you go. You are perfectly lined up right now. This is gonna look so hilarious on stream. Can you see it yet? Oh my God, dude, that is awesome. That worked so well. I can't believe I just guided you in on that, man.
It's like one of those old cartoons where they cut out the mouth and it's like a real human mouth, but it's animated.
Dude, that is hilarious. There, I just brought you back in your full glorious HD.
Okay, that would have been hard to keep up. Oh man, yeah, South Park Canadians. That's great. Yeah. Oh, that's
the
great.
Flapping heads.
Whew, man, this is warm in here.
I saw a message in chat that I wanted to address.
Sure.
Somebody said, let's see if I can find it here. Something about like they don't understand donations to streamers because you wouldn't send money into like a
James. Yeah, James was. Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. So James Janus, he said, can you explain donating to streamers? I don't get it. You send like $50 because to Fox, you like Family Guy. You don't give strangers money, but streamers are okay.
I push back a little bit. Some people do give strangers money.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, so
it's a value sort of thing. It's like tipping. Yeah. So exactly first off, the vernacular is terrible. They're not donations. Donations imply a charity of 501c charity kind of a thing. You are not donating, and that is
this is like, taxable income.
Streamers need to stop using donation because for tax purposes that is a specific term. So
it's not a donation.
They're tips.
Yep.
Just like my first thought was like strippers, right?
Yeah.
You could go home and you could be staying at home and watch porn and stuff, right? Or whatever. You can see naked, whatever, anytime you want, but you tip your strippers and stuff, or tipping in general, just wide tipping in a general sense, like cut out all the bullshit about capitalism and like paying waitresses $2.50 an hour to make it up in tips and all that stuff. I'm just saying, the
stripper comparison actually is perfect for another reason too.
Or tipping the tow truck driver. Right, that was a weird one. When I was driving a tow truck, I didn't expect to get tips. I'm making pretty decent money driving this truck.
Yeah, I've always tipped my tow truck drivers.
I was blown away. As a consumer, it never occurred to me to tip a tow truck driver, or the guy who takes your bags on and off the shuttle when you're at the airport or something. Like when my lady was like, "We're gonna tip the guy," right? And I go, "We are." Like
right?
there's so many other things where I didn't realize about tipping, like that some people tip for. I'm like, or like handy folk or skilled labor. Like I've heard of people tipping their plumber like above and beyond the cost of the work. I was like, that's strange that I would not have thought to do so.
Yeah. With streamers, it's a little bit different though. There's another aspect of this that I think is more important than all of that.
Yeah.
And that is the interaction. So if you were sitting there watching Family Guy and you were like, okay, get on your phone and you're like, I'm going to tip $20 to Seth MacFarlane. And it pops up on the screen to all the millions of viewers that are watching that Family Guy episode. Hey, so-and-so just tipped $20. Hey, Seth, I love what you do, blah, blah, blah. And then Seth MacFarlane comes on in the voice of Peter Griffin or whatever. It's like, oh, thank you. Thanks, that was funny. You supported the channel. Thank you. And then somebody else is like, oh my God, that's so cool. Now everybody knows who you are, at least your name and the message that you did. So you're getting value for it. That's the thing is, like, even if you don't think like, because that's the thing, if you could do that to the network station, people absolutely would. You wouldn't even be able to see the damn TV show because it would be nothing but nonstop messages through the entire thing, which wouldn't even be practical, right?
Millions.
So
even you see it on big streamers. You see it on big streamers.
Yep, it'll pop up on Super Chat and put you at the top of the chat for everybody to see.
You can't call them all out because it's like a constant. It's just Lyric is one of my favorite giant streamers, and it's like that all the time. It's practically a nonstop like rotation of people subbing or tipping to get their message up on the screen and stuff, all of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And like in my case, this is the other thing too, is if it's somebody that has millions of viewers, then you might have to tip $1,000 before the streamer even like notices and reads it out. Like it'll show up on the screen or there'll be some, something in chat. But for them to interact, it might take like $2,000, or you go find a smaller streamer that only has a couple hundred viewers that maybe you give them $5 and they're like, oh my God, I'm super grateful for that. And you get some kind of reaction for it. So your value changes depending on how many people are seeing that message, or how much interaction you're getting based on the size of that audience. So, and that kind of works itself out. That's the thing, is it's not even like a set thing. It's just, if you go into like, and the opposite's true too. You might go into like an Amaranth stream, tip $1, and it just happens to be the one person that tipped $1 in the last 10 minutes. And she might just be like, oh, hey, thanks, I appreciate that. And then you're like, holy shit, I just got for $1, I got somebody famous that I watch every single day to say something. Yeah. It's like Cameo in real life, in real time. Right.
Yeah. And so that I mentioned about value, the streamers providing value in the entertainment and stuff. And so, yes, technically you can consume for free, just like you do with YouTube or anything else. But some people want to show a little bit more, or not more. I don't like some of the emotional connection to some of these words, because I really don't like the idea of people feeling bad, like, oh, I can't afford it, I can't give more. Like, it's great to get that above and beyond sort of support, and some people want and can do so.
Yeah, if you get mad because somebody else can support and you can't, that's mean. Like, don't, you're the same type of person that's like, okay, well, because I can't give that person $20, nobody else should be able to give them $20.
I say it all the time. Like, I streamed just earlier this week, driving to and from a big meeting I had for work, and like 8 to 15 people showed up. I didn't say it on Twitter. I didn't do nothing. And like, that warms my heart like so much. Like, that is so cool. And I talk about it a lot. Like, man, think about all them people standing here, 8 or 10, 11, 12, whatever people, 5, 3, whatever. Think about that, standing there in the room with you, like, watching. Like, I mean, that's a little weird and creepy you go too far down that thought experiment. It's weird, but still, like, that's amazing. Like, that to me is so cool. And I think that's one of the biggest, like, I don't know, I just wide-eyed.
People are hearing you right now. Like, 240 people are 100% tuned in on what you're saying right now. It's awesome.
That's like that's a lecture hall.
Yeah.
240 people. I would not want to see 240 people outside into my office window, like looking in at me.
Dude, we've done a stream before with over 4,000 concurrent, and like 4,000 people. That's just crazy.
That is huge. Like, and that's so cool, man. And the dollar stuff, the like subscribing on Twitch, paying you $5 a month, or even the Twitch Prime thing, which you kind of get for free as a sense, that's extra. Like, that's the frosting on the top. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's just an extra cool. Yeah. Este Bendito. Yes, it is. It is. They're not donations because you're not a charity. It's a tip.
Yes, tips. 100%. It's taxable income.
Except people though, like, they associate freely giving money to people as a donation, though. It comes around to like the emotional attachment to certain words and stuff.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's not. Here's the thing that I think people really need to understand is offline tipping, right? Like, sure. I see it every once in a blue moon. Maybe once or twice a month, I'll see somebody who'll cash at me like $10 and be like, hey, I love your content. Thank you. And you can't read it on stream because you're not streaming at that moment. You can't really, you're not really in a position to say anything except for click the like button or reply to him and be like, hey, thank you, I really appreciate that. Though that happens very, very rarely. And so it's not just a matter of people just like freely giving the money. It's that people want to participate in something that's going on. They want to see a reaction to it. They want to be, they want to be involved in it. They want to see some kind of change affected by what they're doing. And so that is the value. Like, when you look at something like PayPal, for instance, I've had PayPal disputes before, but then PayPal changed their tactics and now I win every single one of them. And so people haven't been doing them as much since PayPal's ruling in favor of the person, because all you have to do is contest it. They're like, oh, I tipped this amount of money, I'm contesting it because I didn't get my product or service. And I just send them the clip. I just go to the channel where the tip is. It gives me the time index. I send them the clip of like 10 seconds where it's like, oh, hey, so-and-so, thank you for the $1 tip. I appreciate that, man. Really helps me out. And then I reply back and I say no, because what they get for their tip is a call out. That's all on screen or verbally. That's what it says in the notes on my channel. They get a call out either verbally or on screen, which will happen no matter what. Whether I say it or not, it'll show up on screen. So when they contest it, I just send that, and YouTube just immediately closes the case. And after somebody reports too many false tips, they just stop taking them.
Yeah.
So, and I've had people do that before where they're just like, oh, I didn't get my product or service. And it's like, well, no, you did get your product or service. You stuck around for the entire stream, and
Right.
you're going around and you have a history of doing this to other people, and PayPal can see that. When you contest it, you give them the clip, they're like, ooh, this person's contested an awful lot of things to other streamers. So then they'll go back and just give them all back in favor of the streamer. And then I'm sure their parents like go ape shit over them or whatever for doing that. But the thing is like they're going to try to abuse it. Just like we were talking about with ad blocker earlier. It's like people will try to abuse in the system to get something for nothing. And as close to nothing as possible. Right. And it's like if games didn't have DRM and everybody could download it just as easily as buying it and like syncing it up on Steam, they'd be doing it. Like nobody would pay for it because there'd be no value in buying the game. It's the fact that it's got the DRM. It's the fact that it's hard to get. It's the fact that it takes more effort and puts you in more of a legally dubious position to get something that makes the vast majority of people go, you know what, I'm just going to buy it if I can.
Well, and ease and lowering the friction, right? Like piracy dropped off with Steam and Epic and all of that stuff because it made it easy. It made it easy to buy things and to keep all, like I don't have to have a shelf full of boxes or keep a bunch of CDs somewhere and all that stuff. It reduces the friction.
You're not patching XEs and can't get updates and can't connect to online servers.
I mean, the game industry saw the bullshit that happened with Napster and they were like, nah, bro, we're going to cut this off and we're going to take our 30% and we're going to double down on it because like, man, because the gaming industry doesn't have a bunch of old people who don't like change trying to stop new stuff from happening. So that's a big part of it. You know, the old guys running record labels and stuff were like, oh, we've been selling CDs for 40 years. So why would we change? Anything that helps, anything that removes the friction of the customer handing over their money or whatever the case may be. Because like, they're taking your information when a website is free or whatever removes, like I hate it. It drives me bonkers if I don't have like a social login option on a website. Like I want to just use my Gmail login.
Boop. Exactly. Like, you don't want to create a new account everywhere.
Well, yeah. Like, come on. Just reduce the friction. I don't want to sign up for your stupid thing. Like I signed up and made an account on Floatplane earlier in the stream just to see what was going on there. They didn't have that option. I had to fucking type and then fucking paste and type and then there's an activation email. Ugh. Which, by the way, total tangent. There's like 21 creators on Floatplane.
That's it.
If clicking browse creators shows you everyone, yes.
So here's another interesting thing. So I wonder how many users are on the platform, like people that actually created an account and watch content on the platform.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that interests me is like, you can't find a better situation than you owning the platform. Like you personally, as the content creator, own the platform and can freely promote that platform in everything you do across all your channels to your tens of millions of followers. That would be the best case scenario to convert a user from one platform to another. And their adoption is still astronomically low percentage-wise compared to their YouTube following. And that's because the vast majority of people don't want to create a new account. They don't want to pay for content, even for the exclusivity. You know, even though they ship on that platform first, a lot of people are like, well, it's worth just waiting. You know, I'm going to get the content eventually. Yeah. But the thing is they're learning this as they go, right? They're figuring out like how to tweak the value add and how to tweak it in such a way that people will start and they'll lean into that harder. The bigger the platform gets, I'm sure the more constraints they'll put on their YouTube content. That's like, if you want to see the full video, go to Floatplane. If you want to see this or you want to enter into the giveaway, you have to be on Floatplane. And once they start adding in that, you know, that type of stuff, then you're going to see the conversion rate go up. But is the conversion rate ever going to be 1-to-1? Do you really think everybody's going to move from YouTube over to Floatplane just to see Linus's content or other creators? No, they won't, because there's no way Floatplane will ever get every single person from YouTube over there. They can't. They don't have the infrastructure.
Purely exclusive. Unless it was purely exclusive. Oh, you want to watch Linus Tech Tips? You have to sign up on Floatplane.
Exactly. Then the conversion would be higher. But let me ask you this: do you think the conversion would be absolute? Do you think it'd even be 50%?
It would be very, very dependent on the content creator.
Because like, for instance, with me, it's like, I like Linus's content for the most part. And I mean, except for the stuff that's like super, like today's video sponsored, so we have to shill, but at least he's honest about it. But I don't just go to his channel and say, hey, does Linus have a new video out today? Most people don't. Like when I look at my analytics, the number of people that actually come to the channel without a notification telling them there's something new there is very low. And I'd imagine for Linus, it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure 10 million people don't just come flooding in. Otherwise, the video would have 10 million views on day one. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying there is, like, if he wanted to convert all those people over to Floatplane, a lot of those people only care about content when it shows up and it's in their views. So if he moves to exclusivity on Floatplane and he stops having the thing pop up to get people's attention on YouTube, eventually people aren't even going to go and even know Floatplane exists. They're never even going to go find Floatplane unless he makes more content saying, hey, Floatplane's over here, guys. You know what I mean? He'll still have to, like, continuously tell people about the other platform to draw them over. And then the other thing that I think is probably going to create a problem for him is the TOS rule that says that you can't drive people to a competing platform. I'd imagine once Floatplane gets to any kind of sizable threat to YouTube, or if it ever does, then YouTube's probably going to step in and be like, okay, well, you can't be talking about Floatplane in your videos and driving people there because that violates that rule.
Yeah.
And then if that happens, it's like now he'd have to use their forum to say, hey, everybody come over to Floatplane. And not everybody that watches the videos has an account or even reads the forum. So you run into this case where it's like that platform loyalty does prevent you from getting anywhere near 100% conversion for anything.
No, and yeah, it comes back around to that friction, right? If it was easy, if you could just click a button and boom, like poof, you're over there and you're followed and you're subscribed or whatever it takes on Floatplane, it'd be done. It'd be easy. You'd get bunches, but because you're not allowed to talk about it, you're not allowed to have a link to it, that kind of stuff, it makes it difficult. People don't want to change. It's hard to get people to, just like getting, like you said, about moving people from YouTube to Twitch or Twitch to YouTube or Twitter to Twitch or whatever the fuck.
Well, dude, like, they actually got, so I had
even a button is too much for some people.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Like, the simplest thing, even just looking in a direction for 10 seconds for some people is just asking too much.
Getting them to click the freaking subscribe button or the like button, you know, like it's right there. But yeah.
And you have to ask them to. That's the thing. Like, you wonder why all these videos ask people to click the subscribe button. It's because it actually works. Like, it actually does. Like, I remember before I asked people to hit subscribe, I got 10% subscription. When I started saying, hey, can everybody push the subscribe button? It went up by like 110%. Like in the first week.
That's why they're called calls to action. You have to tell people what to do.
And you have to figure out how to give them value. And you know how you do that? You don't just say click the subscribe button. You say, hey, click that subscribe button and let us know what we're doing right with an upvote or a downvote. Like, I don't care which one, just like let us know which direction, because engagement is engagement. Like, a lot of people
turn it into a favor.
You turned it into a favor.
Yeah.
And then the other thing,
it'd mean a lot to me if you click the like button, if you subscribed and all that stuff. Attach emotion to it.
Yep. And the most successful thing that you can do in the call to action, and it drives me nuts because knowing all this shit makes me not want to do it. I know I'm weird, but
marketers ruin everything.
Marketers ruin everything. But you'll notice, like with Philip DeFranco, he is like the king of doing it. What he'll do is after every topic in his show, he won't rule on it one way or the other. He'll be like, let me know what you think down below. And I read all the comments. Let me know what you think down below. I'm going to go through and look at all your comments and everything like that. And by him saying that, you're like, whoa, this guy actually reads his comments. And then where you wouldn't comment before, you now feel compelled to comment, and then sometimes comment on every single topic. So you might get 10 comments from every video, which YouTube looks at as like uber engagement.
Yeah. I think that's why my old live streams were, or the streams that I did for Puget Systems were super popular. Is I spoke the comments that I was like noticing and reading, which was amazing.
Yep. And you can get a lot of viewers doing that. Like one of the biggest ones you'll know is giveaways. So giveaway streams, they start putting rules on giveaway streams on YouTube that, like, basically they're, you can't tell people they have to sub to your channel to enter the giveaway.
You have to have an option, because that's the legal rules for giveaways. That's why you'll always hear like no purchase necessary, send a self-addressed stamped envelope, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
You can enter that way, because if you have a value transfer, it becomes a lottery.
Yep. And
that's a different set of legal rules and stuff.
So if you ever want to know how they skirt this rule and they get a lot more engagement on giveaway streams, is usually in the giveaway stream, they'll say something along these lines. Hey, we're giving away this computer to one lucky deserving winner. And hey, let us know down in the comments what you would do if you got this.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh, wait, maybe if they saw that I have the best reason. But notice they're not saying that you will get it if you have the best reason. They're just saying, tell us what you would do with it if you got it. So in your mind, you're like, ooh, if I leave a comment, that's going to increase my odds. Like, in your mentally, you're going to be like, that increases my odds of winning. But it does no such thing. All it does is just increase the SEO of the video, so it reaches more people that otherwise wouldn't have seen it, which brings in more organic viewership, which brings in more comments, which the platform sees as engagement, which then outreaches to their followers and their followers and their followers. And you've basically just created a sense of a viral video, a viral interaction where everybody is literally just saying what they would do if they won the giveaway.
Yep.
And so that one tiny little tip can be the difference between your video having 10,000 views and 10 million views. Can be literally just saying, I'm giving something away and I want to know what you'd do with it.
Yep.
And it's technically within the rules because you're not saying they have to leave a comment to win. You're just saying, let us know down below what you would do if you won this object. And that's why everybody does that.
Yep.
It's there's all kinds of little tactics and stuff to artificially grow yourself. And the other thing is it does make it harder. Like this is why you see every channel eventually doing the, if you can't beat them, join them. Is, you know, like I always got mad where I'm like, why the hell is everybody doing this Raid Shadow Legends? It's a game literally written by a casino company that makes slot machines, and the game itself is literally built on a slot machine addiction. Like that's the whole, so it's literally less a game and more a slot machine too. Yeah, that's actually true. But this game is very purpose built for that, and they can sponsor more YouTubers with more money than literally any other company on planet Earth, which means that their revenue has to be so high. Their margin or their profit margin has to be so freaking high that they can outbid every other product on the planet to get people to advertise it. And they do. And like every single person you see advertising, even people that don't play mobile games, people that aren't even interested in cell phone shit, people that are like, you know, heavy construction workers and stuff. They're like, oh, and I play Raid Shadow Legends on my break every day and blah, 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 and collect my special master. And they're showing like screenshots of their phone with an account that's played for 10,000 hours, even though they've never even opened the game until that one point to shoot the B-roll. And they keep doing it over and over again. The reason that they do it is because if they don't do that, they're missing out on that 10 to 15,000 on the low end, 50 to 100,000 on the high end revenue that comes in for that 30 seconds of work. Yeah. They'd be missing out on that. And the thing is, the people that do that put that ad placement in there, now the company that owns Raid Shadow Legends, their parent company, will retweet your videos just because they have that ad in it. Like, even if it has nothing to do with anything else in the video, it's about technology they don't care about, they will retweet the video just to be like, hey, and here's another one of our, you know, famous people that love playing our game, even though they literally paid them to make that advertisement. So now the people that play the game because of creator A or creator B, now they see creator C that they didn't even know existed because they all ran the advertisement. So they all artificially grow each other, which benefits the brand who's trying to, you know, get the game out there and get it more false legitimacy. But it's also generating so much income from those shady tactics that they can afford to pay more and more creators. And it's a self-sustaining scam. And that's why you see so many YouTubers that are promoting crypto scams, NFT scams. All this shit is because the marketing companies are like, okay, here's the budget in order of most money to least money. And down at the bottom is going to be stuff like mixer boards and good name brand products. And always at the top, you're always going to see shit like fucking Raycon and Raid Shadow Legends and all the shittiest of the shit products that absolutely anybody that's done an independent review says that they're absolute fucking hot garbage trash. And those are going to be the ones at the top of the list. And you as a content creator, you're not going to go investigate this shit. First, you have a marketing guy for that, and he gets paid 10% or 20% of the proceeds. So do you really think your marketing guy is going to pick the thing that's only going to get him $500 versus the thing that's going to get him $5,000 for the same amount of work? Hell no. So that's why you see it so much. And that's why I've even talked to some of these creators on the side and like DM'd them. I'm like, dude, fucking seriously. Like, dude, I happen to know that you're an audiophile and you're saying that Raycons like sound as good as fucking like EarPods Pros and like XM4s and shit. And so, oh, I know. Hey, everybody does it, man. It's like, you know, it's a script, you know, you got to read it, you know, to get the payout or whatever. I'm just like, come on, dude. Like, seriously. And they're like, well, if I didn't do it, somebody else would. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. If they don't do it, somebody else will. And that person who does that is going to get that additional clout, that additional SEO, and that additional growth on the back of those giveaways that come along with it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, so I hate the mentality of you can't beat them, join them, but it is true. It's like, unless you're stubborn like me and you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to burn everything down and live on the audience that I've had forever. And these are just the people I got. And these are the people we're ride or die until the end of days. Unless you're in that mind state where you're just like, okay, I'm just going to burn it and I'm going to suffer. You have to go the other route. Like at some point you have to give. And that's kind of the limits that I'm trying to explore right now with what I'm doing is how far can I go without bending a knee to the system? Yeah. How far can I go and still succeed? And the answer is I'm dying fast. And it's because of that.
I don't know, man. I think there are plenty of examples where you can grow a community, a supportive community, without, like, you've already done, you in particular have already done brand deals with companies that you're comfortable with that aren't weird and scummy and stuff. And
but keep in mind, when I was doing that, my growth was exponential. My growth has been flat since I stopped doing that.
Right. And that's right. That's right. Because you stopped doing that.
I see what you're saying is I found an ethical way to grow. Yeah, obviously the growth wasn't as big as had I picked the littler guys, but it was
that's
possible.
Fine,
absolutely,
right? Like you can set those expectations for yourself that like I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I'm not ever going to work with people who make these sorts of demands, and you see it all the time. You see it from other creators all the time. Look at this email that I got from blank, or they don't
100%,
say
100%.
and they're like, I'm not doing this. Like you got and there's been a constant pushback against companies that do that sort of thing. And there's always the bigger, more veteran people coming out and saying who will quote tweet a picture from a smaller creator who's like trying to get pressured into doing something like that. And they're like, please don't do this. Or artists don't do fucking, channel art for a YouTube channel and not get paid. And pay and ask for this much because that's what it's worth.
Yeah.
And
that don't kind promote of NFT scams just because you get $500,000.
Yeah.
It's not good in the long run. Like, you will get a fat stack. Yeah, you will, but it's gonna come crashing down.
And I think it's kind of recursive too. Like as you get more and more of these offers and you more and more turn down the shitty ones, you're gonna get more and more of the good ones.
True. No, that I could totally see that. And so I guess what I was getting at there is, there is a path to do it ethically.
Don't give up, Jerry. Don't give up. Don't give up is all I'm saying.
No, dude, I can't give up. I'm all in. I've passed that road marker of like change directions a long time ago. I'm in it to win it now with just whatever path I'm on. And the other thing too is it's like I can take bigger risks because I have a good support network around me. That's the other thing is like when you have good friends and you have good people around you that got your back, if you stay on an ethical direction, then it's a little bit easier to do it and to take those risks versus somebody who's like, oh man, if I fail and fall, there's nothing there. Like if I don't do the bad thing, the rope keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner until it snaps. Like then you're going to take less risks. So I feel like having a good support network in place can help you with risk, and also not having people that work for you. Like that's the other thing that I've noticed between a lot of content creators that I've grown up with and that, we've gone different directions, is that the fundamental thing is like, I'm only responsible for myself and my family. That's it. I don't have to fire anybody. If I fire anybody, it's just me. When you're in a position like some of the other creators now that have studios and employees and editors and videographers and brand deal guys, you have a team now. So it's like, if shit goes downhill, you have to be willing to fire those people to save yourself. You have to be willing to sacrifice those people are there to make you money, not the other way around. And I can't do that. Like, that's something that I've just never been good at. Like, even when I was a manager at Microsoft, I hated every fucking minute of it. Like, I hate having to be that guy that's like, you're not good enough, get out of here. Or now you don't get to feed your family because the other guy was better than you. Yeah. I don't like being that person. And you do have to, and if you want to grow past a certain point, you have to be willing to be that person. And I've seen some people that navigate it really, really well, but the vast majority of people I've seen have completely had to change who they are fundamentally to be that person. Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's them. That's on them. I feel like it doesn't have to be that way, like look at Gamers Nexus. Perfect example. I love Steve. There's somebody who could have taken a darker path, who could have been more of a shill or whatever 100%. You want us to talk. And I'm sure that it slowed them down. Sure. Look at them even compared to other channels.
Yeah, right? Other so much harder for it,
channels. But again, like, you can stick to your guns. You can draw the line in the sand and say, this is the kind of person I want to be, and accept the consequences for it, whether that's slower growth, fewer brand deals, more or whatever. Right. But that just comes along. The scummy stuff is the easy route.
Exactly. 100%.
Is or the ignorant route sometimes, because like, especially with the influx of the new blood into all of this, they just don't know any better. All they're seeing is a paycheck, right? Like, well, just like anybody else, any other celebrity, anybody else who's like, oh man, like the Wayne's World, right? You see Wayne's World, they get the $5,000. Oh, we got $5,000. But they didn't look at the contract. They didn't know what was going on. It's just like that.
Well, it's like when Linus ran the Raid ad, right? He obviously had no idea what he was advertising.
Yeah.
Like he had zero, like the way he did the ad and everything, it was read off a teleprompter, just like everything else. Like he didn't know. It was after that in the backlash, he was like, oh shit, marketing guys need to get smacked. Like,
or the vacuum. Like, what the fuck was with that? That's weird, you know? And he had
pays,
to step up and defend that too.
Whatever pays.
And that says something. I don't know. That I think was just a weird mismatch of like audience and product or something. But
I also feel like Steve.
I don't think that was any scumminess on Linus's part.
No, and I don't think so either.
A paid ad review thing for a vacuum. It's just like a weird mismatch of like, Linus doesn't fucking do housewares. Like, what the fuck is he doing that for?
No, and the thing is, it's delegation, right? Like on purpose. It's like he has writers that write things. He has the advertisers the right thing. He doesn't even know who the advertiser is half the time before he gets to that part on the teleprompter, right? So it's like he's insulated himself to where he pays other people to make that happen smoothly. Yeah. And I'm sure when they fuck up, like, and he has to go publicly and say, oh, I'm sorry, why'd I do that? That didn't make any sense. Then I'm sure the marketing team is getting an email that day or getting a talking to that day. That's like, guys, in the future, you got to like do your research and get a temperature on this shit before we just go with it. Cause it's $100, if it's $100,000, like look around and be like, maybe this is $100,000 for a reason. This is paying so much. The other thing is like with Steve, the one thing I really do like about Steve, and I can just tell there's certain things you can tell about people, right? And I've met Steve, many times in person. There's just something that you can tell about him that he would go down with the ship. Not that he has to, but I feel like if shit was going downhill, he would be there with all of his employees down to the last fucking dollar until he had to burn the building down.
Yeah.
100%. Basically, we all succeed or none of us succeed kind of mentality. I get that from him. There's a lot of people that I don't get that from, that I've worked with, that I've grown up with, that are like literally like if profits are down 50%, I'm letting you go to get them back to 100% because I'm not going to compromise my quality of life even 10%, because that's not how it works. You're my employee. I pay you for a thing. I make more money off of you than you make off of me. And that's how business is done and grow to the moon. This is how we do things. And it's nothing personal. It's only business. I can't be that guy. So I'd have to be the guy that goes down with the ship.
Does Steve have dependents? Yeah, he has an entire company to look after. Of course he has dependents. Are you kidding me? Every employee he has. I know that he's the kind of guy who thinks of it that way because like that's how like my boss at Puget, I feel that is the truth from John as well, that he sweats bullets over his employees. I truly, I know it's like corporate America, we're family here and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure John draws a line, right, between like his business and his like family, his own wife, kids, and blah, blah, blah. But he genuinely does care and think and is concerned for his employees. The business decisions he makes includes how is this going to affect the people that are under me, because I've talked with him and I know that in his heart he genuinely considers every single person underneath him in every business decision he makes.
100%. And
I happen to know believe that Steve is the same way.
And he could have, to be fair, like with John, like with like the COVID stuff going on and stuff like that, he could have, oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to lower salaries. No, sorry, I'm gonna have to do this, and I'm gonna have to lay these people off, make you seasonal and part-time and stuff. And I feel like he's the guy that's like, what's that? Other companies did that kind of stuff too.
Exactly like, hey, 100%. We're gonna have to either furlough or lower salaries and stuff for the time being and blah blah blah. Yeah.
But the question is like where I get into like the ethics, when I look at the ethics of it, is like, how close are you willing to go to the fire to try to protect as many people as possible? Obviously, if shit's like burning down and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we all are just going to die right now instead of doing what keeps the company alive so that we can eventually bring you back. Like, yeah, there's a line there. Let's not all just say, oh, our profits are down 20%. Let's fire let's fire everybody and just close the company. Like that doesn't make sense if you can survive it. What I'm talking about is the type of people that are like, listen, you have to make 200, 300, 400% of what I pay you. And if you fall under that, then I'm just going to replace you, or I'm just going to fire you. Even though profits are up and everybody's doing good, it's like, no, it's not good enough because I need more and I need more. And that whole like Microsoft mentality of drive everybody into the fucking ground.
Right.
Like, and to get as much as you can the whole, you know, Elon Musk mentality. It's like, I will fire all of you motherfuckers if you try to unionize, because I don't want anybody knowing what anybody else is making. And I want you to all feel that you were like 5 minutes away from being fired, because then you all are fucking like scared of each other, and you're all going to work way harder than the guy next to you, hoping that you don't get the gun pointed at you. And that kind of stuff I could never do. I could never do that. No. But that is like, if you look at the Steve Jobs, if you look at the Bill Gates, if you look at the Jeff Bezos, they're all that guy.
Yeah.
They're all the guy that would have no fucking problem just like signing a piece of paper and sending half the company home if it doubles the price of the stock. Like in a fucking heartbeat. Yeah. And being a publicly traded company, you kind of have to do that. I think legally you have to do that.
Yeah, because you have an obligation to the shareholders.
Yeah, they can sue the fuck out of you and take you for everything.
You have to make fiduciary decisions that are in the interest of your shareholders, and that's kind of the shitty part about like public companies. Is like, it's no longer, it immediately changes your like motivation from what originally was the point, the why of your company, to now, why do you operate? To make profit for the shareholders. That is your entire sole goal.
It's your principal purpose. Yep.
Yeah. And like, that's really shitty. I don't like that part, but that's why you stay small. Well, you stay relatively small in comparison, and you can do your own thing. That brings into a conversation of greed and what success means, things like that. Like, we don't all, I don't know about you, but I don't fucking want to be a billionaire.
No, hell, man. The stress that comes with that. No way.
Millionaire probably is fine, multi-millionaire even, but
when
how
you're
many
so
multiples?
Rich that you can't grocery shop without like armed guards, like
that's
your
whack.
quality of life sucks. Like you could have the biggest mansion with like being able to do anything you want, but you'd never be able to know who truly is your friend, and you wouldn't be able to do anything just as a human being without like people being paid to protect you.
Yeah, my when we were younger, me and my buddy, high school buddy, were always kicking around like ways to make money and stuff like, man, I want to be rich and famous. I go, man, you can be famous. I just want to be rich. I'll be the number 2, 3, 4, 5 guy down the ladder and be perfectly comfortable and 100% anonymous. Like, that's, and I enjoy my live and stuff. I love my publicity and things. But man, that's it. I don't want to be like big famous. Not really. I mean, I guess it depends to what level, I suppose, because like I do enjoy being like called out and stuff like, oh, hey, I know that guy. Like, that's
fun. That tension is definitely fun.
But like, I don't want people trying to fucking knock on my door or something. You know what I mean? Like, don't be weird.
Yeah, no, and I've had that.
Don't ruin it.
It doesn't happen as much anymore, and I think that just comes to, 1 million subs isn't what it used to be.
Right.
Like, there was a time where 1 million subs, you were basically more famous to that generation than like, Michael Jackson was to us. It's like that level of fame was through the roof. And now it's like, it's so common for people to have like, 500,000 or 1 million subs on like TikTok or Instagram. It's like, now it doesn't have that same level. It's like, now you got to have like 10 million, to be that guy where you're going to just show up at their house and bang on their door and think that in your head that you're going to have this amazing relationship and be their best friend. Like, one of the things that actually does kind of still creep me out a little bit, but I'm still also flattered by it at the same time, is I'll get DMs from people on platforms like Instagram and stuff. I'll go look through my DMs, and the person will be like, oh man, I really wish that I lived closer to you up in, up near Seattle, Washington. And then they'll be like, no, I know the real town that you live in, but I'm not going to say it because that would be creepy. Well, you just said by saying it.
Yeah.
That you're being creepy. And then they would like lead with something like, oh man, I know if I was closer to you, we'd be the bestest of friends. Like, if we met, dude, I could tell we're like the same person. We'd get along so good. And it just sucks that we're so far apart because we could be like the best of friends. And it's like, that does seem like a little bit weird. Like, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like go to a party and like a guy over in the corner is like talking about a car or something. You walk up to him and be like, dude, we would be the bestest of friends, man. Like, dude, where do you live? Like, I'm going to come over, dude. We're going to hang out all the time. You're never going to need another friend because we're 2 peas in the same pod. We are the same. Like, the person would be like, what the fuck? But that's something that you commonly see in a business like this. Like, when you have any level of fame online, is you do get the people that message you and they're like, hey, I know this sounds really creepy. They'll even say that. Like, they know. It's like, I know this sounds really creepy, but don't take it that way. But I know where you live and I want to smell your hair.
Right.
It's like, okay, all right, I get it. You're awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I love that you love what I do, but usually I either don't reply to it, or when I do reply to it, I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool, but I'm kind of an introvert and a hermit, so I don't really want people like fucking skulking around anyways, and let them down easy kind of thing. But it is that is the one thing that's always kind of creeped me out about this job is, and female streamers must get it 10,000 times worse, where, Got a dog going off? If we see
Hang
people
on,
coming with ski
about.
masks,
Hang on.
all right, go get them. Go get the broomstick and take them out. Hey, Robert Settles, thank you for that $20 super chat earlier. I hope you're still here, brother. Thank you. We really appreciate that support so much. Gaming Maddie Rocks, thank you for the $2 super chat. Said, I got YouTube Premium. I don't like how YouTube serves ads. See, that's another good reason to get Premium, right? It's like, it makes sense. It's like Premium is the legitimate ad blocker that actually works and gives you some extra stuff. And if you become Premium and you previously ad blocked, now you're actually generating revenue for the people that you actually watch. So it's, you know, and I think that's great. Christian, thank you for the $2.64 super chat. He said, good evening from Denmark. Hey, what's up, Denmark? How's it going? Daniel Frost, thank you for the $9.02 super chat. He said, I get notifications from channels that they are streaming on Twitch. I get those every day. Yeah, no, you will. Like if you sign up for notifications on Twitch, you'll get those notifications. It's YouTube that usually doesn't send out the notifications to like 90% of the audience.
Yeah.
So YouTube has a weird thing in their algorithm, and I don't think Twitch does this, but they might during primetime hours. Basically, YouTube has so many people on their platform, so many people streaming on their platform, that if they sent a notification to every single person that subbed to every single channel that was going live and streaming, the amount of bandwidth and storage it would take on their Google Mail system and stuff would be astronomically huge. So what they do instead is this rolling system where it's like they send out a notification to like 1% of your audience. And then depending on how many of that 1% that they notify actually show up, will determine whether they go out to a larger group and then a larger group and then a larger group. And that's why sometimes people come into your stream and be like, hey, I just got the notification you're live like 2 hours late. It's because they had to wait for group 1 to get enough adoption to send out group 2, and then group 2 enough adoption to go to group 3, and they work their way up. And if everybody comes into your stream, like if they send out a notification and every single person shows up, they're going to immediately send the next one, then immediately send the next one, immediately send the next one, depending on how much of a reaction they get to it. But the thing that sucks about that model is they usually send it based on the people who last watched your channel. So ordered by like who last watched a video or came to your channel, they're going to be the people that are most likely to be in that first group that get notifications. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that group is going to be the one that's around at that time you're streaming that's going to come by and watch you. And they may not even be interested in the topics you're doing if you do a lot of diverse stuff. So they may get the notification, not come over, and then all the people that would have been in group 2, group 3, or group 4 that would have been more interested in what you're doing will never hear about it, because YouTube drew the conclusion that not enough people are interested. So I don't really like that system that much. Hey, Theodorus, thank you for that $1.96 super chat, man. He said that glitch was funny. Oh, where AuxxZillary was doing the head thing.
Yeah,
that was did you get to see that when we were doing it?
I did. Yeah,
dude, that was awesome.
That was good.
Yock Oliver, thank you for the $10 super chat, man. Streamer support, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
We really do appreciate it, dude. It's 2:21. I'm sorry I ended up keeping you late today.
Oh, that's all right.
You doing all right?
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're done, we're done.
Yeah, whenever, if you want to wrap up, we can wrap up right now, brother.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot.
I got some other stuff to do today. So.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm starting to get tired again. God, I hope I get used to this medicine, dude.
Yeah, man.
I got to get used to this medicine, because I'm stuck in this weird spot where it's like my options are be in pain or be alert or be out of pain for like the first time in years, but I'm just perpetually tired. Yeah. So hopefully I can find like a middle ground, because being out of pain, you guys could probably tell from this stream and last week's stream, I'm actually in a lot better mental place.
Heck yeah, man.
Like, I think it's noticeable. Like, even my wife notices it. So she's like, I really hope we can like figure this thing out. Because that would be awesome. As for the rest of you guys, if you want to keep in touch with us between live streams, you can come watch our Twitch streams that we both individually do. All the links are down in the video description. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Usually I had to cancel a couple streams because of fatigue, but I'm going to get back on the horse starting this Monday. And if you want to talk to us on social media, our most active network is over on Twitter. At least Twitter. Until Elon Musk officially gets handed the keys and they ban all of us.
It's gonna be so fucking weird. I don't even know.
It's gonna be so weird. I'm like, I put so much time into Twitter and now I'm gonna be forced off of it. But anyways, for the meantime, you can come over and talk to us on Twitter. I'm at Barnacules. He's AuxxZillary. If you want to hit up David Hewlett, who joined us earlier, he's D Hewlett. Over on Twitter, again, all of our social links are also down in the video description, and interaction is what it's all about. We all love interacting. We all read everything that's tweeted, and we're tagged in that Twitter doesn't hide from us. So come over and say hi. We'd appreciate it. Engagement is awesome. All right, peace out, guys, and we'll catch you next week. Later, Gator. Oh wait, do I push stop streaming or end broadcast?
I don't know. Both.